10,000 RPM.
Drivers and viewers alike have become accustomed to watching races at Volusia Speedway, but today that all changes as we at the Virtual Grip Network and Coast to Coast Racing Networks welcome you to the King of the Wing charity race for the Steve King Foundation. The Steve King Foundation was formed to help the dirt track racing community across the country by providing financial assistance to drivers, pit crew members, racing officials, track operations personnel, or the immediate families of those individuals who suffer a serious illness, injury, or death. Check them out at stevekingfoundation.org. All entry fees and donations from tonight's event go directly to this great cause. This is a new event for these guys at Coast to Coast Racing League. Like I said before, we've been used to seeing these guys race at Volusia for the Hometown Heroes League. But it's a special event, and I have my buddies here with me, J.R. Shepard and John Hine in the booth, with Mike Yao producing this broadcast with Virtual Grip Network. And J.R., this race going on at Charlotte is a last chance qualifier to get to the big show later on tonight in the 360 Sprints. Talk about it a little bit, this venue here at Charlotte.
Yeah, this is it's going to be a fun race for sure, Kenny. So the dirt track at Charlotte, it's a 0.4 of a mile clay oval that was originally built back in 2000 and has hosted several weekly racing series races, including the modifieds, late models, and sprint cars, and has even hosted the World of Outlaws finals several times. So this is a great track. It's got a lot of room to move around. Very, very easy to find a line. If one line's not working for you, you can move around to another one. Drivers love tracks that are like this, so you can pretty much run anywhere on this track and make time when the track conditions are right. So we're going to see some fun racing, probably going to see a lot of slide jobs once this place starts slicking up.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool track, multi-groove racing for sure. And this is a really cool event, like a really good cause. A lot of people coming together for this. And we'd like to give a special thanks to the sponsors for helping us make this event possible. Maurer Farm Management, Gambler Motorsports, Can-Am Racing Team, Chip Banger Racing, Venom Racing, Ripka Designs, Tin Can Wraps for Charity, VMR Wraps, Velocity Wraps, and Magnum Race Design. And we have a 3-man booth this evening. We have John Hine, who is a pretty regular racing in this series. Now, John, these guys are going to be desperate trying to get into the final feature tonight. What do you expect to see from this LCQ?
Aggression, desperation. This is their last chance to make it. These guys have been trying now for a couple days to get in. Some guys have had bad luck, and this is it. We do have a raffle going on out there to buy your way in. So that won't be that'll determine the last starter. But right now, this is the last 10 guys that are going to make the race, and what do you do to make it in? We got $100 on the line, and not even the $100 that's on the line I think is cool. Lance Ripka puts together this really cool trophy, and the guy that's going to be on the pole later tonight, Kyle Moonen, has got, I think, not one but maybe 2 of those, if my memory serves me correct. So that trophy is, I think, what a lot of guys want.
Definitely, everybody's going for trophies, a little bit of notoriety, a little bit of bragging rights as well, and this is going to be a regular format. I say regular; it's going to be similar to what the Coast to Coast Hometown Hero Series normally is, but just at a different venue. JR, why don't you take us through some of the race details? What's the format for this LCQ going to look like?
Yeah, so very similar to a regular C2C event that we've covered in the past. We have 2 laps of qualifying, then we'll go into 8-lap heats, and then that'll be followed by 10-lap C main and a 10-lap B main. Once all of those are decided and the drivers transfer on into the feature race, we'll run a 30-lap feature race. The leader does not have lane choice, so if the outside's working, you're going to be stuck on that inside lane. You better get a good restart. You do control the restart as the leader, so you still have a little bit of an advantage. And these cars are going to be running fixed setups like we normally do, so it's going to be more about the driver and them searching around, finding the line that's the fastest on the track.
Definitely, it'll be interesting to watch the racetrack progress as we go on through the night tonight. And as we're watching some of the action on track, some drivers are starting to make some laps out there, and looks like the track has already started to wear in a little bit. That bottom line is wearing, but it looks like the little bit of wear showing up near the top of the track too. I'm seeing a not very an even line of wear around the track. Do you see that as well, John?
Yeah, this track, generally speaking, wears in really awkwardly, I think, sometimes, but it does provide a couple lanes of racing, and it gets really bumpy over in 3 and 4, and 1 and 2, it gets right up against the wall. And when I say against the wall, there's the cushion's not even the width of the tire, so there's a very, very fine line between stuffing in the fence and getting around that corner fast.
For sure, it's that's one of the reasons why I always like Charlotte, is it's a little bit unpredictable, which makes for some 2-lane racing tonight. We look at the practice board so far. Josh Gerlach is P1 on the board with a 13.070, but we always talk about these dirt warm-ups, and not necessarily vindictive of the pace of a driver is going out there and putting down a fast lap on a fresh racetrack, when really that track's going to wear in, and it's going to come down to who's going to keep the pace up throughout the whole night as this track wears on, right, JR?
Yeah, absolutely. This track's going to move around a lot, especially with these sprints. So it's going to be an exciting race, I think, for sure. I know John said I think we're starting out with a probably around a 15% track state, and that's going to continue to get worse with these higher horsepower cars. So track's going to move around. Probably going to see some guys run up top, run up bottom. It's going to be a fun race to watch.
And qualifying has begun. Drivers have 3 minutes to do 2 laps and get their best time on the board. Multiple drivers going out right away. These cars will rip around here in less than 15 seconds, but drivers going out right away trying to get the best time as possible. We're looking at Nathan Aldrich at the moment running the high line around turn 1 and 2, running the high line in 3 and 4 as well, so he will come around to start his qualifying effort. And JR, I know you and I personally, we like to wait for some of our competition and go out late in the qualifying. Do you think some of these guys will sit and wait to see what other drivers will put up on the board?
Yeah, you're exactly right. A lot of guys will. They want to see what kind of times are getting thrown up there. Also, you just got out of practice, and sometimes you've got a little bit of adrenaline going, and you want to calm yourself down. Just get yourself relaxed, so you go out there and put in the best lap that you possibly can. So that's another reason for just giving it a moment, seeing what everybody else does, and then go out and do what you know how to do.
Joe Canellis has put up the top time right now with a 13.212. Multiple drivers are in the 13.2 range at the moment. We're looking at Rayner on the board in the Chevrolet Accessories sprint car. And multiple drivers still out there. A pretty large field. Over 25 drivers are entered for this race. So a lot of competition is out there. We're past the halfway point in this 3-minute session. And it looks like Ross Carinta has gone up to the top of the board with a 13.154. Almost a full tenth ahead of the field.
Yeah, that was an impressive lap for sure. Still Joe Canellis in second, Jeff Barker in third. We got Steve Goldner just threw up a really fast lap, almost identical to what Ross ran, but just a little bit faster.
And John, I want to bring you in for a second. What do you think is the ideal qualifying line for these guys? Is there a lot of variety in what guys are going to try out there for this?
Yeah, there's a variety of lines that are available to guys. Now, the variety isn't going to necessarily be good for their lap times here. You want to take a wide entry, apex the corner, and keep that car as straight as you can. If you got that back hung out here, you're scrubbing speed and scrubbing time really fast.
We have only about 15 more seconds left in this qualifying session. Keith Jackson, a late qualifier, is out there. He has a top 10 spot at the moment. And remember, it's top 10 drivers overall in this little feature here will go on to the main event, main charity race at Knoxville, which is going to be a completely different venue than this. So the qualifying is over. Steve Goldner reaches the pole. He will start first in this heat race. As we look at the qualifying order here, the starting order for heat race number 1, Stephen Goldner starts first place ahead of Dan McLaren. Keith Jackson will be in third place, and Bob DeGood will be in fourth.
Yep, and starting in 5th place tonight will be Jeffrey Kemper. 6th place is Bob Curtis. 7th is Brad Wright.
So we look into this event here, and these guys, it's a little bit different. It's not quite for points. It's just to get into the main event at a totally different venue. So, Jared, do you expect to see a little bit more urgency out of these guys, even though you don't even really have to win this feature race? You just have to get into that top 10, but obviously a good starting spot in this A main at Charlotte's going to be important.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be important. So this is a track that's got it's got multiple grooves that you can move around on, but usually when the track's in this state where it's got a lot of moisture in it, there's going to be a preferred line. So you're going to want to be one of the guys that's toward the front. If not, you've got to find a way to make a move and get up there, because you do not want to be in the back of the field for the A main.
And John, quickly here, do you think one particular line will have an advantage on this initial start, the top line or the bottom?
I think it's going to be based on the driver here, who's got the advantage, because both sides will work with the amount of track state that we're starting with here in 15. So I think you can get right down on the tires and make time. I can also think that you can be about a lane and a half up and make good time. It's just going to be a matter of who's behind the wheel and what they're doing with their feet.
So the qualifying times between these first to 7th place only separated by about 0.3 of a second. A very tight field in this one as we come around turn 1 and 2 for the final time. And Stephen Goldner will lead the field to green. Remember, the starts are going to be on green, so should be a pretty even start. Pace truck has left the field, and we'll come around here to start heat race number 1 tonight here at the dirt track at Charlotte. Green is about to come out. There it is. Stephen Goldner is onto the loud pedal. It's a pretty even start as we thought. Goldner side by side, and he actually clears up into the top spot, slides up in front of Dan McLaren. Dan McLaren sticks his nose down into turn 3 and is very aggressive to take that lead back, as these guys are side by side after lap number 1.
Absolutely. That outside lane definitely gave McLaren and we have contact, Kenny, with 2nd and 3rd place guy.
Yeah, and a big tumble for these guys, but it looks like we are going to stay green with this being a heat race, and that's going to mix up the order quite a bit. Dan McLaren is now going to get away from the rest of the field. Jeffrey Kemper now in second place. Third place belongs to Bob Curtis. Fourth is Brad Wright, and how quickly things can turn. Stephen Goldner was the pole sitter, and his car is broken off of turn 2. He's wobbling about, just trying to get his car to the pits.
Yeah, this is a big shakeup for sure. So it's going to make the night a lot longer for some of these guys that are not going to be able to transfer in here. But it's a gift for Dan McLaren. He's going to be able to run different lines, see what his car is doing, and just fill things out.
For sure, he's going to have some work to do as we have reached lap number 6 in this heat race. Dan McLaren with a huge advantage, and I don't think there is a battle for third place. You got Bob Curtis next to Brad Wright, but all the transfer spots have been determined so far. So 2 laps to go in this first heat race, and looks like again, Keith Jackson is in the pits along with another driver, and Stephen Goldner, I got to give it to him. He's staying out there just trying to finish and log some laps, but Dan McLaren is going to come around and win heat race number 1, followed by Jeffrey Kemper in second, Bob Curtis in third, and Brad Wright is the final transfer spot.
Yeah, and like you spoke about earlier, Kenny, it turns out that it was important to get out front first. He was able to avoid that damage, carnage behind him. So Dan McLaren doing a great job there.
For sure, as we look at the results from the first heat race, and we'll go on to the grid for the second heat race. Ross Corinta is in first, followed by Josh Gerlach in second. Brody Brown will start in third, and fourth place will be Nathan Aldrich.
Gary Taylor will be starting 5th. Barry Goldner will be in 6th place, and behind him in the last row will be Roger Craig in 7th place.
And these drivers will set off, and Jared, do you think that maybe set a tone with a little bit of early contact, a lot of aggressiveness up in the front? But do you think that will set a tone for the rest of these heat races with some early contact between some fast drivers?
I certainly think everybody was watching that first heat race, so they saw what a little bit of contact can do, and it can definitely put them in a bad position moving forward for tonight. So I think some guys are going to try to be a little bit cautious here. At the same time, I expect the front row to try to go at it and see who's going to be the leader, because that's the safest place on the racetrack, is to be leading this race.
For sure, and Ross Corinta, he was quite fast, had the pole for a little while there in that qualifying session. These guys will come down 2 by 2. And again, we don't have any cautions in the heat races, so any contact or wrecks happening, they will just kind of play out how they're going to. So Ross Corinta will bring the field around. We'll get this heat race number 2 started here. 8 more laps. 4 drivers will transfer automatically to the feature, and green flag is out. A slow start from Corinta. Actually, a better jump from Josh Gerlach up on the top side. Corinta, a little bit of an advantage down through turn 1 and 2, but he's not able to clear. These guys will go side by side as we complete lap number 1. More of the same from heat race number 1 to 2, side by side for the lead early on.
Absolutely, and these cars, it's going to be best to try to keep them as straight as you can right now. So you saw right there, Gerlach was able to make up a lot of time through 3 and 4, closing Corinta. I think he's going to try to get underneath him coming off of 2.
Yeah, these guys are really going at it, and they're starting to separate themselves from the rest of the field. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are all in a gaggle behind them in their own battle. Now, what do you think, Jared? Do you think those 2 leaders would just kind of ride if they're going to build a gap to everybody else?
I think they should, for sure. So they know that they're transferred. If they stay in those positions, they don't need to do anything crazy right now. And if they work together, they can pull away from this field more than likely.
Now single filed out throughout the field, but from 3rd on back, it is a pretty close battle as we're watching Nathan Aldrich lead this little train here. 3rd on back, side by side for the final transfer spot. That's Brody Brown on the high side. And next to him is Barry Goldner. Goldner just about clear of Brown going in out of turn 2 and unable to actually clear him, though, and already only 2 laps to go in this heat race, and they're still side by side for the final spot.
They're racing hard for it, and it is so hard to try to do a slide job on somebody in these cars and know exactly where they are. These drivers are extremely good at what they're doing, not making any contact at the moment.
And looks like Barry Goldner has been cleared by Brody Brown. Sorry about that. I thought Brown was in the orange car for a moment. Brown has cleared himself into fourth, and he will take that transfer spot, the final one, as Ross Corinta wins the second heat race, followed by Josh Gerlach and Nathan Aldrich in third place. Brody Brown again takes the final transfer spot. Barry Goldner, Gary Taylor, and Roger Craig will have to settle for the C or B main as we head over to heat race number 3. It's Joe Canellis on pole for this one with Brian Dickens in second. Terry Landis will be in third, starting next to Joe Backus.
Starting fifth will be Butch Baker. In sixth place will be Mike Cranmer. And rounding out the field in seventh will be Steven Bixler.
Bixler's a driver we've seen in the past. I've seen quite a few of these drivers we've gotten used to watching for the Hometown Heroes League. It's been nice to get to know these guys on the track. But we got 2 heats under our belts. The second one a lot cleaner than the first. So, JR, as this track wears on, do you think there's going to be a trend in their lines? Do you think, we were talking about how difficult it was to make a pass, but we saw Brody Brown make a textbook pass to get that last transfer spot in the last heat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, opening lap, I think you're going to want to run around the middle of the track as these cars get themselves up to speed, and you gain that momentum. Once you do that, it looks like this track's continuing to move higher and higher, and I believe that's where the preferred line's going to be. But if you're faster than the guy in front of you and you can get your nose just to the inside of him down one of these straightaways, you could pull a slide job off like we saw earlier. You just got to make sure that you clear that guy, because if you don't, it's going to be bad for both of you. These cars do not like contact.
No, they do not. And the field has been given control here. The pace truck has left the track. We wrap around turn 3 and 4. And the green flag about to come out. It's a little bit of a late green flag here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. There it goes. Drivers are on it, and again, a good start by the second place driver, Brian Dickens. And he is going to actually slip back there and out of turn 2. And in the outside line, Terry Landis diving down to the inside. First time we've seen the third place driver actually make some hay at the very beginning, and he is trying to look for the lead.
He is working hard right now. He's really making that inside line work better than anybody that we've seen so far. So he's hanging tough right now. It's going to be really, really hard for him to pull this pass off. But, man, he's making it work pretty well right now.
Yeah, he actually could become freight trained here as a third driver has lined up on the outside. That's Joe Backus in that third driver in line there. So I think, if you're Brian, or if you're on the bottom side, you are Terry Landis, you're pretty much committed. You have no choice now but to make that bottom side work.
Yeah, your decision's made. You have to stay down there, unless he can slide up between the second and fourth place guys here. But I think he's liking that inside lane, and he may just stay down there the rest of the race.
Brian Dickens looking for the lead here. You can tell his car's developing a push, though, on the bottom, unable to clear, and he's going to have to be careful here to not get himself freight trained trying to make that pass on the bottom work, as we're already approaching 2 laps to go.
It's always a tough decision, right? So you're faster than the leader, and you pull out to make a pass, and you're actually slowing yourself down and allowing that guy behind you to gain a big advantage. So he pulled that one off, but it was close.
The good thing for all of these guys is the top 4 have separated themselves from the rest of the field, and we are at the last lap of this heat race. It's still kind of a 3-car battle, and Landis can't make the bottom side work. Rick Dickens is going to go up high. Joe Canellis goes low to defend, and Joe Canellis leads flag to flag and will win this third heat race. That was a really good race. A lot of different lines being shown there, but the top 4 finish exactly how they started there. Canellis with the victory, followed by Dickens, Landis, Backus, Cranmer, Baker, and Bixler. So do you think the bottom has lost its luster, JR?
I think there's still a little bit there. It just depends on how you're running it, maybe where you have your wings set. So we'll see how this heat race goes, but it looked good in that race.
Heat race number 4 grid coming up for you. It's Jeffrey Barker starting on pole position with Jack Clevenger in second place. Taylor Wineland will be in third place. He's a quick driver to watch out for. Next to G.J. Boydell. Chris Berger will be in fifth place, starting next to Chris Schaefer and John Rayner will round out the field in seventh place. John, what do you think about the track conditions right now? How do you think the track is evolving so far?
It's wearing in nicely. The guys are getting higher and higher up on that wall, but some guys are making that bottom work, and I see it. It's there. I think you got to work extra hard, like you said, and get down there, and you got to hit a perfect every time to really get any kind of advantage down there. So that it makes that even a little bit more difficult to be running down there. But these guys are doing a great job, and outside that first heat race where we saw contact, it looks like guys are giving and taking at this point in the night. I probably expect that to continue here, and we'll see what happens once we get in the feature and it gets down to crunch time.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of a blemish in the first heat, but the races ever since then have been really, really good. So here we go, the final heat race of this LCQ event here from Charlotte. As Jeffrey Barker will bring the field down. It's been pretty slow starts for the pole sitter in the last couple heats, but that's a pretty decent jump from Barker down into turn one, side by side. Battle for the lead, and it looks like Clevenger slipped up just a bit, but he wants to get to that top side. And looks like Barker is cleared for the lead for now, but we'll see if he'll keep it there.
Yep, and Boydell is able to make the pass on the outside there to go into third place. He's actually chasing down the second place guy right now, running that nice high line right up against the cushion.
Chris Schaefer's done a really good job to get into that fourth place. He's in the green and black machine there, kind of all by himself now. The leaders side by side here battling. Jeffrey Barker and Clevenger are going at it here, and that could bring the rest of the field into this one, as these guys are going to kind of block the track a bit and slow each other down, which will crunch the field up here.
Yeah, absolutely will. Schaefer's closed in now on this pack, and I think Weiland's lost some ground, but he's starting to make it back up at the moment. Everybody's running up top, except for right now you got Barker down on the inside.
Now, if you're Schaefer, you kind of have nowhere to go, but you kind of have to go because there's pressure behind for that final transfer spot. You see him looking way up the track, looking for any real estate possible to make something happen.
Yeah, absolutely. He's trying to get his nose in there because he knows if he gets his nose in there and the spotter's called outside on the driver in front, he might be able to get that position, but the door's just not opened up for him.
Yeah, he has pressure from behind but nowhere to take it. But oh look, a driver has been put onto the bottom. That's Jeffrey Barker, and he could get freight trained here. 2 laps to go. He has now found himself fighting for just the last transfer spot. We come and take the white flag here. 4 drivers on the top, and look at that. Barker has lost a transfer spot just like that, down into 5th place. He'll dive it down in here into turn 3 and 4. The driver on his outside. Oh, a little bit of contact. And a photo finish for the final transfer spot. It looks like Taylor Wineland will grab that last spot. Contact, but everybody survives. How about that?
That was great to see. Elbows out coming to the finish line for that transfer spot. Yeah, Barker just narrowly missing out there.
So Jack Clevenger wins that heat race, starting second, finishing in first. G.J. Boydell finishes second. Chris Schaefer will get third, and Taylor Wineland with that photo finish wins by 11 one-thousandths of a second over Jeffrey Barker, who started on pole, mind you, in that 4th heat. And then John Rayner and Chris Berger did not make it as well. They will go on to, it looks like we're just going to have a B main tonight for this. It'll be a 10-lap little B main. 8 will go on to the feature event, and now the feature is used loosely because we still have the main feature to come tonight. But 4 drivers will be going home. When we look at the grid here, Stephen Goldner and Barry Goldner will start next to each other on the front row. Mike Cranmer and Jeffrey Barker 3rd and 4th. Keith Jackson and Gary Taylor will round out the top 6.
Yeah, starting 7th in this main will be Butch Baker, and 8th place will be John Rayner Jr. 9th goes to Bob DeGood. 10th place will be Roger Craig tonight, and 11th will be Stephen Bixler, and rounding out the field in 12th place will be Chris Berger.
So it's really nice to see still, like you were saying, that 2 lanes were still working out there. But now do you think if you're a guy in the middle of the field or towards the back, you're just going to kind of run where someone else isn't?
I think you're going to have to. Four of these guys are going to miss the field. Those are the guys you're going to see trying to take chances the most and take a little bit of risk. The inside line does look like it's going away as everybody's moving up top to the cushion. I'm kind of curious to see if anybody starts trying to run that middle lane. Not a whole lot of cars have been there, so there's still a little bit of grip, I think, at least going into the corner. So kind of curious to see how that works out.
Here we go. The drivers come down and will take the green flag. A good jump by Stephen Goldner on the bottom. He's actually clear nearly. Gets into the tires there on the bottom of the track. Does a fantastic job shortcutting there and getting into the lead. He has separated himself. A nice little slider line into 3 and 4, but behind him it is quite the hornet's nest as we cross the line to finish lap number 1. These guys 2 by 2, and you can really see these cars fan out and go into all 3 lanes on this track, maybe even more than that.
Yep, everybody's trying to experiment right now, see what the track state is. First time they've been on it since it's been in this state, so they had more grip earlier in their heat races. The guys are going to learn pretty quick. Only got about 7 laps left to go, so they've got to figure it out and try to figure out how to get into those top 8 spots.
Yeah, the laps really do wind down quickly here. We have a car up in the and another car is up into the fence and is tumbling. That's John Rayner. That'll probably end his hopes as we're going to keep going green here. That separates the field just a little bit, but we still have some battles. Mike Kramer there on your screen crosses the line. He's in a top 5 spot at the moment, and looks like the battle for 10th is on between Roger Craig and Steven Bixler there for the final 2 transfer spots.
Yeah, so the 11th and 12th place guys, they're far enough back right now. They're not going to be able to make it. So you got 9th and 10th place trying to get into that top 8. They're going to battle hard to get that. But right now, everything's up top. Everybody's running up top right now. I don't see a whole lot of guys taking any risks down low once they've gotten single filed out.
Yeah, these guys have really single filed out here in the last couple laps. I think that little incident there did help spread the field out. And really, yeah, like what you were saying, really anybody is just battling for a better starting spot in the A main for this feature here at Charlotte. And we do have a side-by-side battle. That's Jeffrey Barker and Chris Berger going at it. Oh, a little bit of a slip up ahead of them. That's going to bunch this little group up a little bit, but only 2 laps to go, and all the spots have pretty much been determined as far as who's going to transfer. Come around to take the white flag. It's Stephen Goldner, who has done a fantastic job out front right from the start. He's going to lead it down into turn 3 all by himself, and Goldner is going to win this LCQ, followed by Keith Jackson in second, and a whole mess of cars in behind him.
Absolutely. And as you can see at the end of the race there, Goldner was one of the few that I saw running extremely high through 3 and 4, almost touching the wall as he went through there. Other guys were running high, but not that high, and I think they're going to have to pay attention to that moving forward into the A main.
John, I want to bring you in real quick there. How Stephen took that start, he really shortcutted the track there. Is that a good strategy there, getting right next to those tires and sliding up?
Yeah, because you're just driving in a straight line, and the way angle that he did it, he didn't scrub a whole lot of speed, and obviously it paid off. And then once he got up there, he just kept pushing that higher and higher and higher, and that's, like I said, that's where to be once it gets high, or once that cushion gets up there and you're on that wall. That right there is the place to be, and it's risk and reward. We'll see how many guys are willing to risk it. If I'm sitting there tonight, this is your last shot to go. We got taking 10 guys. If I'm sitting 5th, 6th, 7th place, I don't have a lot of pressure. You know what? I'm probably riding right in the middle of the track, not to make any mistakes. But if you're back there, pushing for that transfer spot or on that bubble, you got to put it up there and just let it all let all the chips fall where they may.
And as we watch this little warm-up session here, 3 minutes of warm-up before these guys go to the 30-lap feature, Stephen Goldner, Keith Jackson, Mike Cranmer, Barry Goldner, Gary Taylor, Jeffrey Barker, Chris Berger, Roger Craig, Butch Baker, and Steven Bixler made it through the LCQ there, and John Rayner and Bob DeGood did not make it through the B main. Actually, Butch Baker did not, as well as Steven Bixler. So these guys going into a 30-lap feature, and then, like John said, 10 drivers will make it through into the main event at Knoxville. 24 drivers are in the field, and JR, do you expect a lot of chaos here in this 30-lap event?
Yeah, probably a little bit. These guys are probably going to be looking at it as not a whole lot to lose. They're just going to go for it. And the track's widening out, so the lane's way up top at the moment. It's going to be hard to pass. So you're going to see some slide jobs, but you may see some slide jobs going wrong where they think they have enough space to slide in and they just don't. So we may see some contact for sure out here during the race. We'll just have to pay attention to that. But hey, I want to ask John though, real quick. John, what kind of adjustments do these guys have? Is there anything that they can do to help their cars handle a little bit better?
Yeah, with being fixed setup, all you can do is adjust the wing forward and backwards. And when the guys bring their wings forward, they're going to go faster, but that car is going to get a whole lot looser. And then when they bring it back, slow it down a little bit, but it keeps the back end under you and can be helpful when you're trying to set that right rear on the cushion up high around the corner.
John, I also wanted to ask you a question too. I noticed in some of the heat races, a lot of these drivers that were trying to run the bottom, they looked like they were building a push in the car. Is that just from guys kind of overdriving the entry? Because it looks like if you want to make that bottom work, you got to be right down on the bottom.
You do, and you have to back the corner up. If you overdrive it, and this is a track, especially over in 3 and 4, that just invites you to overdrive it. And if you do it, yeah, you're gonna kind of wash up a little bit, and you just that old adage of old saying of in like a lamb and out like a lion, and that's how you got to run the bottom here.
We will see which drivers will be able to make the lines work the best as we line up here for this LCQ feature, if you will, at the dirt track at Charlotte. Dan McLaren is on pole, starting next to Ross Corinta. Joe Canellis starts third place next to Jack Clevenger. Jeffrey Kemper will be next to Josh Gerlach in 6th. 7th place goes to Brian Dickens. Starting next to him will be J.J. Boydell. Bob Curtis will start 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Nathan Aldrich. And rounding out the top 12 will be Terry Landis and Chris Schaefer.
And starting 13th in this race tonight will be Brad Wright. 14th goes to Brody Brown. 15th is Joe Backus. 16th place will be Taylor Wineland. 17th is Stephen Goldner. 18th is Keith Jackson. 19th is Mike Cranmer. Beside him will be Gary Goldner. And 21st is Gary Taylor. 22nd is Jeff Barker. And on the last row we have Chris Berger and Roger Craig rounding out the field.
So this is a lot of cars in here, and most of them are not going to make it into the final event tonight at Knoxville. But, I want to bring John in real quick, too. These cars absolutely rip around this place. Do you have even a conscience of how quickly the laps run by? Because 30 laps sounds like a lot, but it really isn't in a sprint car.
If you get a lot of cautions, it can tend to drag on, but if it's not, it goes by real fast, and you don't realize how fast you're going until you might get yourself in a little trouble, and you're like, whoa, okay, we're moving. But remember, you got 8 guys that probably feel secure right now, and you got 14 others that are wanting to go at it, 16 others, so this should be fun.
Here we go, 2 by 2 as they come to the green flag here, and Dan McLaren will lead them as there we go on green as we're 2 by 2 down into turn 1. A decent start for everybody, and they're going to fan out. Some drivers electing for the middle, and we do have some contact in the back of the field, and we do have a quick caution down the back straightaway. 2 drivers down on the low side there fighting for the same real estate.
Yeah, it looks like we just got a guy running the bottom, another guy making up a lot of time through the center there. And again, it's hard to tell where guys are in proximity to you in these sprint cars with the big wings. So contact was made, and it looks like more was made a little bit later on.
Yeah, it looks like, John, when these guys start side by side, 2 by 2, it looks a lot of drivers are going to go right to the top, a lot will go right to the bottom. For drivers in the middle of the pack, does that really make the middle very tempting to shoot into in the first couple turns?
It can, but if you're going to commit to the middle, stay in there, and then you got to rely on the guys. Most cautions I see in this kind of racing is guys trying to change lanes in the middle of the corner. If you're on a start or restart, when you commit to a lane, at least for the first few laps, stay in the lane. Whenever you change, there's chances are somebody's going to be out there. You've got to be 100%, and so if you do commit to it, it is tempting. You can make up ground on guys doing it sometimes, but you've got to count on them doing their part and staying in that lane. You commit to one thing. These cars aren't like asphalt cars where you can jam the brakes on or make evasive action. Once you're committed going into the corners, that's where you're headed.
Now, they do have single file restarts. Cautions are obviously on here in this feature event, and caution laps do not count. So we were still on lap 1 when that incident happened, and now these drivers are in single file, and they'll have quite a long distance to make up to get to the leader, as the leader takes the green flag. And we're going to storm down into turn 1 and 2, and they will fan out. And a little bit of contact already. Got a driver down in the grass. But we're going to stay green for now. That was one of the front runners. I think that was actually Ross Carenta was down in the grass, and he has to gather back up.
Yeah, it was for sure, Kenny, and he's falling back outside of that top 10 right now, so he's got some work to do. He's going to have to start moving forward.
It'll be fun to watch him storm back through the field here as he's right around that bubble spot. As we're looking at these drivers fan out, there's Nathan Aldrich on the top side. The drivers are still definitely trying that bottom line, though. Guys 4 wide near the back of the pack right now. But again, you know, when you're in traffic like this, it's like, where do you go and avoid the trouble?
Yeah, it's tough. Right now there's 2 lanes right up against the wall all the way around the track, or you can run right against the tires on the inside. There's grip down there. People have not been down there for the most part during these races, so there's still a lot of moisture down there, and you see some of these guys making it work, but when you run that bottom, you have to be extremely conscious on how much you're letting the car rotate. If you over-rotate, you're going to lose a ton of time.
Greg Boydell shooting in the middle there. He made a nice set of passes, and these guys, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the track state. It's really inviting these drivers to try all kinds of things. And looking back at 10th place is Stephen Goldner at the moment. Jack Clevenger we're looking at right now, and looks like we have another caution. We'll have to see what was the cause of that one, but that was a good little run there. Looks like Roger Craig just takes a little bit of a tumble and spins on 2 wheels down to the infield there. But John, I'd like to bring in again kind of a track update here where we had a nice little run there, and drivers are still not afraid to try any line around this track.
No, right now I can see 3 distinct lines out there. You can run the middle, maybe just, not so much the middle, but maybe just like a half a lane up from the middle. There's a nice strip attack there. You also got up against the wall in the bottom, and depending on where your comfort level is and what you can do, you can pick any one of those lines. I've seen guys that I know that I've raced around that are usually on the bottom. That's where they're at. The guys that rip the top that I'm around, usually they're up there ripping the top, and it's predictable when you get around the guys a lot. But a track like this, when the lanes are even, man, that makes it a lot of fun because you can really race hard and have fun.
Definitely does. And JR, I want to ask you this. With these being single file restarts, that puts the drivers in the back of the pack a long distance away from the leaders. You think that's a negative impact for those guys?
Yeah, yes and no. Definitely for the guys that are going to be starting further back outside of that top 10, they're at a big disadvantage because there's a lot of distance to make up. The guys in the top 10, it's not so bad. The biggest part is going to be not running into the guy in front of you. So there's a lot of checking up that happens unintentionally when you have these single file restarts. Just guys trying to anticipate and get the best start they can. And sometimes it costs them brake checking unintentionally, and wrecks happen because of it.
So we saw Dan McLaren bring the field to green on the low side. He does that again as we get going, and Dan McLaren is doing a fantastic job on these restarts, getting a really good jump down into turn 1. Already we see Jack Clevenger going up to the top side, Ross Carenta next to him, and a quick caution out of turn 2. And it looks like they're still wrecking. Joe Canellis is one driver who is askew down into turn 3. We're looking at Jeff Barker at the moment. Oh, and it looks like he clipped the big tires.
Yeah, very easy to do. Like John said, it's a very sensitive line to try to get correct, and sometimes you miss it, and he just missed that just a little bit and collected himself on that tire on the inside.
Looks like there's Roger Craig. He's in the pit lane, probably getting some damage repairs. Here's what happened with Joe Canellis. That's what I saw and thought that the caution was for. Just a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, and these cars don't handle that too well, and Canellis goes for a spin, backs her up into the fence. We'll see if he'll be able to continue. He is in the pit lane at the moment, but got to think that these restarts are definitely the most dangerous point for these drivers when it comes to the contact.
Absolutely. It's the closest you're going to be as far as the car in front and the car behind. So if anything goes wrong, anybody makes a mistake or checks up, you're not going to be able to avoid it more than likely. And, like you said, these cars do not like contact. When it happens, more than likely your race is going to be over.
Now remember we mentioned Ross Corinta at the beginning. He started P2 and dropped to 8th, or dropped to around 10th or 11th early on. He is up to 8th, so he is in a transfer spot, but he's kind of on the edge there. What position do you think you should be in, JR, to where you're thinking, okay, I can maybe ride around here?
Well, he can definitely do it from there just because he has the speed. But knowing Ross, I think he's going to want to move forward just because he wants a better starting spot in the Big A main. So I expect him to continue to move forward, and he's got a lot of speed to do it.
That's a very good point. As we go green again, we're starting lap number 10 of this 30-lap feature. Dan McLaren again, same thing he's been doing, driving down on the bottom side, takes the lead. Jeffrey Kemper behind him. Brian Dickens in 3rd place. First driver up at the top, Josh Gerlach, is going at it. We got 3 wide. We're watching on the screen right now. That's for around 6th to 8th place and beyond. Look at him fan out into turn 1 and 2 as we have another quick caution. JR, are you surprised to see how much urgency there is? It seems like even within the top 5 drivers.
Yeah, a little bit for sure, but some of that may be the track state. Guys just not sure what's going to happen tonight. As we see on the screen, Taylor Wineland getting into the back of the, not sure who that was in front of him.
I think that was Joe Backus. Yeah, Joe Backus he got into, and then a few other drivers piled in. Chris Berger was one of them, and Mike Cranmer as well. So some heavy damage for some of those drivers. And John, if your driver kind of in the middle of the field, first, don't these constant cautions kind of get you out of your rhythm? And second off, do you kind of think, oh man, how many times am I going to be able to avoid these since most of the wrecks are probably going to happen in the middle of the field?
Yeah, you're in the middle of the field right now. You're really nervous, and you're really nervous on these starts. And you got to just keep yourself calm and keep yourself level-headed. You can't get in a rhythm. And what's worse, I'm sure a couple of these guys have probably gained spots on these starts and have to give them back. So mentally, you've got to just clear your head and start afresh every time they throw that green flag. And sometimes that's easier said than done, especially when you get a bunch of cautions like this. It can be really tough to reset yourself.
And John, I mean, we know cautions breed cautions. How easy is it for a driver to fall into the mindset that, hey, I'm only going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 laps of green flag racing. I have to go now and start over driving the car a little bit.
Extremely easy, and that's probably where you're seeing some of these extra cautions coming from.
And we're going to take the green flag yet again. We'll start lap number 12. Dan McLaren has led them all. And here he goes again, doing the same thing he's been doing, right on the bottom, wraps the bottom down into 1 and 2. Ripping the top side there is, looks like that's Jeffrey Kemper, I think that is. It's the white and blue car. No, it's Josh Gerlach, my bad there. He flew up to the top in 1 and 2, and he may be able to steal P2 right away.
He is working the top extremely well, using that cushion. You can see the right rear tire bouncing off of it as he's hitting it. Oh, and he's getting blocked right now, over-rotates a little bit, going to lose some time, but he's still going to hold on to that second spot.
Yeah, he is really showing aggression here, trying to get to the top spot and be able to control the field. He clears into the lead. Will he slide up in front of McLaren? That was a power move by Gerlach there, and he is able to take the lead. They're side by side behind these guys, and looks like the 10th place though, Brody Brown, is the transfer spot right now as we have another caution. I was just about to say, at about 10th place, it got pretty well situated there for a moment.
Yeah, it looks like Chris Schaefer and another car just getting together, kind of going for the same real estate in the corner and over on their lids. That's going to not end well for some of those guys for the rest of their night. But yeah, I think where we saw Gerlach go to the bottom through turns 1 and 2, I'm very surprised at how much speed there was compared to the outside line. I think guys are going to have to pay attention to that. If they're back in the back and they need to get inside that top 10, they're going to have to look at using the bottom of 1 and 2, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah, Gerlach just really, he made the top line work, and then he followed it up by making the bottom line work. And John, were you impressed as much as we were by that move for the lead? It kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and Josh is a really, really good driver. I battled him for a championship in the midgets not too long ago, and I can tell you, yeah, he's got the talent to put that car anywhere, and he doesn't need a lap or two to get in the rhythm of doing it. And that's what really makes a lot of these dirt drivers really, really good. When you can, come off the top of that and then run the bottom and do it flawless, hit the marks, lift where you need to, and keep your speed, or then move up top and not have to worry about hitting the wall and keep your speed. I can't even begin to tell you how incredibly hard that is to do.
And now, more importantly, Josh has control of the field here as Pace Truck will dive down once again, and we will start the second half of this feature race, lap number 16 out of 30. And Gerlach actually doing something a little bit different. He's going to ride the top line to bring the field to the green. He jumps on the gas and will ride the top line all the way around turn 1 and 2. And Dan McLaren kind of checks up with Jeffrey Kemper in behind him in third place. And again, these top 5 or so really fanning out and still going at it, trying to get all the spots they can.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and you're seeing guys move around to wherever the guy in front of them is not running. And we got another caution on Speedway, Kenny.
Yeah, trying to look for where that happened. It looked like Roger Craig was involved in it, and looks like he kind of just got booted out of the way by Gary Taylor, I believe that was, down into turn 3 and 4. And man, we were really close to being able to actually continue there. Craig did a good job getting off the racing surface, just not quick enough. And that caution does come out once again.
Yeah, it's so hard when you continue to have caution after caution to get yourself in the mindset that we need to give each other a little bit of room and get to racing before we start trying to make moves. And sometimes you just get guys too close together and contacts made, and cautions breed cautions, unfortunately, but hopefully we can get these last 11 or 12 laps under green here, because this track's really producing some great racing.
So, John, we've seen 2 totally different philosophies now on restarts. We saw McLaren bringing the field down right around the bottom and wrapping the bottom into turn 1 and 2. And now we just saw Josh Gerlach rip the top and then stay on the top down into 1 and 2. Do you think either philosophy is good, or one is better than the other?
No, I think they're both good, and I won't be a bit surprised if Josh goes to the bottom this time, or maybe stays up and switches it up. It keeps everybody behind you off balance, and that's the name of the game. If you want to be up top there and got everybody behind you, if you can keep that guy, that second place, off balance and guessing where you're going to fire, you're going to get a very nice advantage every time.
I know myself personally, I like to mix things up on the restarts and keep everybody guessing. So we'll be coming around to start lap number 18 here, with Gerlach in the lead, McLaren second, Kemper third, Clevenger fourth, Dickens fifth, and beyond. Here we go. He does go to the top side again, and he stays on the top side, ripping around there. We're just about higher than anybody else has been all night, and they're 2 by 2 behind him. A huge advantage for Gerlach early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we have another caution, Kenny. Once again, didn't even get a full lap in.
Yeah, we're looking at the replay here. It's Bob Curtis, and coming together there and turning over on his, well, I was going to say on his lid, but they don't really have lids in these cars, but flipping over, and it looks like that may end Curtis's night. But John, do you think that was maybe a lack of visibility in these cars, with the just kind of 2 drivers, one going up, one coming down?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. If you can't see to the guy on the outside because that wing comes down, and you got to remember, being here in the virtual world too, the other thing that adds to that, some guys are in VR, some guys are on triple, some guys are single monitors, and depending on, all 3 of them have a different point of view. It isn't like real world where everybody can see what everybody else sees, and that adds to some of the difficulty actually of running side by side here in iRacing.
And we'll be starting lap number 19. We'll have about 12 to go as we cross the line when we go green again. Gerlach had a really good start that time. I'm noticing that Gerlach is running just slightly higher than anybody else, and it looks like that's giving him the momentum he needs. First off, to get the lead in the first place, and now to keep that advantage. But remember, top 10 make it through this into the Knoxville main event later on tonight, and that's what everybody cares about as Gerlach fires off again, and he has a good advantage already down into turn 1, and McLaren dives down to the bottom. Kemper behind him stays on the bottom, and they're 2x2 behind him.
Absolutely. Everybody kind of trying to figure out where to run at the moment. Most of the guys are down at the bottom. You see 3 guys forming up top, trying to get those big runs. I think ultimately you're going to have to go from the top down to the bottom to make some passes here. But if the guys on the bottom start getting slowed up with each other, the top's just going to rip around them.
Got a good battle going on for the top 10. Remember, that's the transfer spot. Keith Jackson is in that transfer spot at the moment, running around the top side, but he's got a lot of company nearby him. He's got Taylor Wineland right behind, and it looks like the leaders are, well, I would say they're starting to spread out, but these guys are just still fanned out, running multiple different lines as we look at Terry Landis on the track.
Yep, you can see, and you see Ross Carenta continuing to move forward from his misfortune earlier in the race. He's really running up on the top side at the moment, trying to make the most ground. But yeah, this track, like John spoke to, there's actually 3 grooves going, and there's that middle lane that some of these guys are able to run, and it looks like it's working pretty well.
For sure, and these guys are really going at it. Oh, we got some contact down into turn 1. A car's tumbled over, and we will have another caution. That's GJ Boydell, who has spun out down into turn 1. Another coming together there. Looks like Taylor Wineland came together. Now that was right at the battle for that top 10 transfer spot. Keith Jackson, I mentioned, he was in the white car above that little accident there. And, you know, do you think, JR, at this point, if you have to lose a bunch of track position, that's kind of too late to make your way up through the field?
Yeah, I think it is, unless there's a big accident from within that top 10. That's going to be the only way I think you're going to make up that ground. And you saw there, that was around that transfer spot. You had guys running in all 3 lanes, and when you do that, it's very hard to know exactly where the guy is around you, but also whether you're still 3 wide or not. And sometimes you just can't tell. You think you have room to come up, and contact's made. So that probably ended those guys' night for sure, unless something crazy happens here.
So, John, I'd like to bring you in again. Put yourself in Keith Jackson's position here. He may not be the transfer driver anymore, but if you're the transfer driver on the bubble, how much are you putting faith in just running your line, and how much are you kind of determining your line based on kind of defending the guys behind you?
If I'm in that transfer spot in 10th, I'm driving like I'm not in the show yet. I'm trying to pass guys and going where they're not and being aggressive about it until I get it. I wouldn't be comfortable until I was probably 7th or 8th spot. So until that, then I'm more in the ride. But before that, I'm driving like I'm not in the show, even though I might be.
So we had a little bit of a run there. We got a few laps under our belts, but we're going to come around to 6 laps to go. And it looks like Gerlach kind of slowing the field down a little bit there, and he's going to jump on the gas and fly down into turn 1 again, up on the high side. McLaren stays up high this time. That's a little bit different from what he's been doing. Stephen Goldner has now gotten into 3rd place, and he's going to shoot down to the bottom, slide up in front, and he will take 2nd place.
Absolutely big move there going into 2nd place. You also have 3rd place right now, Clevenger, continuing to move forward.
Yeah, it's been a good run for him. I'd like to go back to the back portion of the top 10 where we do have another caution on the speedway. Another wreck happening outside of the top 10. As we look on your screens, it's Joe Backus getting uprooted out of the way there by the 014 car. That was GJ Boydell. And it looked like GJ kind of just stuck his nose in, and the gap kind of closed down there on the bottom. I did see there's kind of a band of track that is not worn in on the very, very bottom. Just wasn't sure if anybody was going to use it.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of grip down there, especially to get your nose planted. You're going to have to really keep that car straight so that you don't kick that right rear tire out into the slick stuff. But there's several guys being able to make it work. I think that bottom is there more through 3 and 4 than it is 1 and 2. A lot of guys have been running down low through 1 and 2.
So how about Ross Carenta? We mentioned him a few times after his incident earlier. He is up into the top 5 now. After being outside or near the back half of the top 10. And Stephen Goldner actually started 17th in this little feature here, and he's up to 2nd. He's got a lot of speed in that 30 car.
Yeah, absolutely has a lot of speed, and he's shown that he's got a lot of patience as well. So we've had a ton of cautions here, and I don't remember seeing him involved in any of them. So he's been very patient, worked his way through, and used that speed and his knowledge of this track to his advantage.
Maybe a little bit of luck as well, but we will not shy away from that. We'll take good luck when we can find it as drivers. But here's Josh Gerlach. He will bring the field down into turn 3 one more time. Sun's starting to go down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. 4 laps to go for these guys. Top 10 make it to the A main feature at Knoxville. Here we go. Green flag is back out on the racing surface. Josh Gerlach leads him down into turn 1, and they'll fan out behind him. Goldner keeping up with the 71 car down into turn 3 and 4.
Absolutely, and we're looking here at 9th place Taylor Wineland. He's ripping the top right now, right up against the wall where the cushion has moved out to. Looked like he was going to make some time on the guys in front, but looks like they were able to close him off there. We're looking back up front at Stephen Goldner trying to go for the lead.
Yeah, big time slide job, and it looks like I don't think that pass is going to count because there's another caution on the racetrack. Remember, we go back to the last completed lap. Looks like it wasn't going to clear anyways, but it looks like Bob Curtis gets hit, flies through the grass, and tries to keep the car straight, and really only reason why that probably threw a caution was because he just got too slow on the racing surface.
Yeah, absolutely. iRacing will tend to do that at the majority of the tracks. And John, break you back in. How frustrating is it when you know that you've set up a pass, you think it's the perfect pass, you're working it over, and you're in the lead right as the caution comes out? You know you got to revert back to the previous lap.
Well, for the first caution lap, I'm cussing. And then the second caution lap, I spend, all right, is there something else I can do? Because you've already shown your cards here, and your guy in front of you might be, ready for it. Goldner's had a heck of a run, 17th to second here, and he's had an awful tough week. And he sent me a text earlier for me not to talk about him because the bad luck. So sorry, Stephen. I'm going to mention your name here, but I can tell you, both these two guys are two of the best guys that we have in the league up front here. So you're going to see clean racing, and you're going to see a chess match at 120 mile an hour is what you're going to see between these two guys. And for guys like me that only know checkers, you just watch in awe, really. But I buckle up here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll come around for 2 laps to go here. And in that transfer spot is Keith Jackson. He's been hovering around that bubble spot for quite some time now. We'll have to keep an eye on them. Looks like a little blink out there by Jackson, but leader takes the green flag. We'll dive down into turn 1 and 2 one more time. Stephen Goldner ripping the top like he has been. Gerlach in control of the lead. We'll come around and looks like we will take the final white flag here. I want to go back and look at the top 10 as Keith Jackson is in that bubble spot. He's side by side with GJ Boydell. He's clear of Boydell now into turn 3. As we come around turn 3 and 4, it's Josh Gerlach will win the event here at Charlotte, and Keith Jackson does hold on for the final transfer spot. A nice clean little 2-lap run there to the finish, and 10 of these drivers have made it, but their night has only just gotten started.
Absolutely, big relief from those guys that know they have transferred on. But now comes the hard part. They've got to run at Knoxville and figure out how to adapt to that track quickly so they can move forward.
Yeah, of note, Keith Jackson actually made up 8 spots to get into the top 10, 18th to 10th, and Taylor Wineland ahead of him, 16th to 9th. Ross Carrenta actually gets up onto the podium in this feature event, up into 3rd. So a good run for him, a good recovery from earlier. As we'll file through the results here, Josh Gerlach will win this feature here at Charlotte, followed by Stephen Goldner, again 17th to 2nd. Ross Carrenta in 3rd, followed by Jack Clevenger in 4th. 5th place belongs to Dan McLaren, followed by Terry Landis, 11th place to 6th. Jeffrey Kemper in 7th, Brian Dickens in 8th, Taylor Wineland in 9th. 10th place is rounded out again, the final transferee, Keith Jackson. 11th is GJ Boydell, and 12th is Brody Brown. JR?
Yeah, and 13th night was Chris Berger, 14th was Barry Goldner, 15th Chris Schaefer, 16th went to Bob Curtis, 17th was Joe Canellis, 18th went to Gary Taylor. And in 19th place tonight was Joe Backus, 20th Nathan Aldridge, 21st Jeff Barker, 22nd was Brad Wright, 23rd Roger Craig, and rounding out the field in tonight's A main for the first set was Mike Cranmer.
And we'll go to some post-race interviews here. We will bring in the winner of this little feature race, Josh Gerlach. Josh, nice to have you in the booth. You made a power move on Dan McLaren to take that lead. Talk about setting up that pass and making that pass and keeping the lead the rest of the way.
Yeah, I knew that the top would be pretty dominant here, and you really got to get it right up on the fence. So I felt pretty confident. I think I won the last race we ran here, so normally have some good speed. So I knew if I could stay out of trouble, especially with the trouble that we had on all the yellows in the middle of the race there, just staying clean and really just finishing in the top 11 is what I was trying to do. But anybody you passed there in that race was going to, I think, advance you in the start of the next feature. So yep, just kept her clean and hammered down.
Yeah, talk about when you were kind of in the middle of the field there. How much are you balancing, being aggressive, trying to make up spots and managing the time left in the race with it only being 30 laps on top of trying to stay out of trouble and keep the car clean?
It's definitely something you got to watch out for, and I would have really liked to get that heat race win just to move up a few extra spots, but starting sixth wasn't horrible. I was glad I was up top. Starting on the bottom was going to be a little trickier, but all in all, I mean, we had a couple close calls there. I think we were 3 wide a couple times, but came out all good. And Steven had a heck of a charge. I think he probably went plus 16 or something like that. So I knew he's fast, and holding him off was going to be a tough task with all the yellows, but got a good restart there at the end and was able to hold him off.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you too about the high line. It seemed like you were running just a little bit higher than most drivers and putting that little bit extra commitment out there. Do you think that high line kind of attributed to the speed you had?
I definitely think so, especially early on, especially into turn 3. You really have to hit it right. If you can get it kind of up on the there's really not a big curb, but you can kind of get some grip up top, and it's really tricky. You gotta practice it, and if you miss a little bit, you can hit that opening into 3 or catch the fence in 1, and you have to be committed to it, but you have to also be right on the ragged edge to really make it pay off, and it did for me.
Well, you're into the final race here at Knoxville. You have to make a quick road trip from Charlotte to Knoxville, Iowa. Who do you have to thank for the run here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank all my teammates at Dizzy Motorsports, alwaysraceday.com. We got the All-Stars, the World of Outlaws, all the real dirt stuff getting going. And if you need to keep up on your news, alwaysraceday.com is the place to go for that. Netcodeshop.com and Netcode Esports, plus everybody that has shown out for this. It's really amazing what Coast to Coast does with these charity races, and it's going to a great cause. So thanks to everybody that is taking part in this, you guys for broadcasting. It's a great event to be a part of.
Well, it was nice talking to you, Josh. Good luck in the final event at Knoxville.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Josh Gerlach, our winner tonight at Charlotte, and J.R. Shepard has caught up with our second place driver, Stephen Goldner.
I absolutely have. Stephen, man, big move through the field, up 15 spots. Talk to us about your race and how you were able to do that with all these cautions.
Yeah, we kind of put ourselves in a bad spot in that heat race and tore up a car, but the Vanderbilt guys helped me make some gains through the field, and we had a real good car tonight. If we started a little bit further forward, we might have a shot at the win, but we'll go for the next one here. We'll start a little bit deep, but it'll be should be a good event.
Absolutely. Definitely showed a lot of speed for sure. Talk to us about that late race move that you made with a couple of laps to go. Looked like a great move, possibly one that could have gotten you the lead, but the caution came out.
Yeah, I thought we had a lot of cautions. I was hoping we didn't have that last one because I had a solid shot at being able to have control of the race going into 1, and we might have gotten to a slider battle there, but I'm sure I could have got it figured out there and ended up winning. But we'll take second. Josh had a good race, good on restarts, a lot better on restarts than I was, so can't hang our head up about a second. We started 17th, so we'll try again in the next one.
Absolutely. Put you about midfield for the big A main race tonight in Knoxville. What are your thoughts going into that race, and what track conditions may be like?
I think it needs to be a little bit slicker, but everyone's going to be on the same track, so we'll try our best and kind of watch that fuel gauge there, make sure it don't get too low too early, and pick spots off one at a time. Hopefully we can be talking to you guys later again.
Well, Stephen, again, great run tonight in this A main feature. Tell us who you'd like to thank for your run.
I gotta thank all the Vanderbilt guys, Ross Carenta at Velocity Race Designs, Alex at ABR Setup Shops, Wagman Brothers, Bio.com, Dirt Doctor Trucking, and that's about it. You guys for the broadcast, Roger for the league, and the Steve King Foundation.
Absolutely. Thank you for talking with us, and congratulations on your second place run.
Thanks a lot.
And that was our second place finisher tonight, Stephen Goldner. And I believe now Kenny is going to catch up with our third place finisher, Ross Carenta.
Yeah, we're down in the pits here with Ross Carenta. And Ross, it was kind of a rough start for you in this feature event. You had some contact, fell back to somewhere around the bubble spot, and but a really nice recovery for you getting up to third.
Yeah, I went into one a little hot. Definitely, I don't know if I hit McLaren or not. If I did, I apologize. Not what I wanted to do. Slammed the brakes, and then I ended up kind of driving over a tire a little bit, I think, and was able to save it. Looked up, and I looked down. I think it was 11th or 12th, and just said, you know what, drive safe and claw back in there, and hopefully I can get a transfer spot.
Were you at all concerned with the damage possibly after that contact?
Yeah, obviously, always if you get a little damage with these things, it makes it tough to steer them a little bit. But luckily, I ended up coming out of there with nothing and was able to drive it back up to third.
Yeah, it was a great recovery, and now you head over to a totally different track in Knoxville. How do you feel about your chances at that track?
I like Knoxville a lot. It can get pretty racy. There can be a couple lines that when the track gets slicked off, that if you hit the bottom right, it can be just as fast as the top. The wall's a little sketchy. There gets to be that bump in turn 2, so just got to be careful with that.
For sure, we look forward to watching you in the final event at Knoxville, and thanks for talking to us, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
That was Ross Carenta, our third place finisher, and we look forward to seeing him and a bunch of other drivers racing in the event at Knoxville. And but it looks like we will have to take a quick break, and we will make a quick road trip from North Carolina to Iowa as the King of the Wing race for the Coast to Coast Racing League gets underway. Don't go away.
leader in our industry.
The lifetime parts and labor warranty is pretty awesome. Basically, all the parts are covered, the labor and everything.
When we say lifetime, we mean lifetime, and it's supported with money-back guarantees. And with that, you're getting all qualified technicians that are going to ensure that this job is done perfectly and operates perfectly throughout the life of the unit.
Learn more about our Coolray lifetime parts and labor warranty at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Welcome back, everyone, to the King of the Wing charity race for the Coast to Coast Racing League here on Virtual Grip Network. We've gotten through the LCQ at Charlotte, and we've made our way to Knoxville, Iowa for the feature race, a 50-lapper. And we'll lead straight in with John Hine, who's caught up with a few of the feature drivers here who will be competing tonight.
Yeah, I'm with Patrick Spangler right now, the number 39 racing sprint car. And Patrick, you put her in victory lane just last night in our veterans portion of this event. Walk me through that race and then tell me how you got to the victory lane there.
I knew my best shot to probably put it into the show was at Lernerville, and that just happened to be the veterans race. Not too many came out, but still was a pretty exciting show. Started in the back and had a good battle with, I think it was Pendleton, but he got loose in the slick and then just was able to power to the win.
Well, when you threw your night there, and then that was just your simple goal, just to win. You didn't really care anything else. That was a simple goal.
Yeah, just definitely my best track and best car is that 360 at Lernerville, so knew I had a pretty good shot as long as we could get some green flag laps in and get in a rhythm.
Well, let's transition here into tonight here for the Knoxville. What is your strategy? You're going to be starting P24. It's a little bit back there in the field, but you've got 50 laps, which is, quite a bit longer than what we normally go in these cars. Walk me through your mindset here and, what you did to prepare and, like I said, what's your strategy once the green flag drops?
I like Knoxville a lot. We're on the bottom pretty good and the top pretty good. It'll be different with 30 gallons of fuel in there, and it'd be pretty hairy at the beginning with everybody. Probably be sort of like Wednesday where they're not too patient. But it's 50 laps. Hopefully they'll spread out, give some people some room, and we get in a rhythm for some green flag laps. It'll be caution every lap. It'll be a long race, but hopefully with the top 26 drivers tonight, we can get some green flag runs and try to work my way slowly up the pack.
Are you better on the top or the bottom here?
It's kind of hard to tell because we're starting so far back. It's just go wherever everybody is, and so if everybody's hitting the bottom, hopefully I can get some runs off the top. I like run the top because it seems like more slick gets, more people go down below, try to feed off the bottom berm there, and I can usually hang on to it on the cushion. Sometimes it's like a fucking bowl out there, and you have to just hang on, and hopefully you don't get it into the wall, but usually can get some good runs off 4.
Knoxville is notorious for those berms over in both, and I guess maybe closer to 2 and between 3 and 4. If you get that right rear, it's almost as bad as what the one in Volusia is actually. And God knows I've been right with you on those and raced you. I know you're strong on that track. at what point are you going to, should I say, flip that switch where, okay, I'm just going to get what I can get here to, will there be any point in that race where it's, okay, I've got to go now and, work my way up?
I think if we get to like lap 15, between 15 and 20, and I haven't moved up too much, I'll start pushing. But I don't want to push too hard and then not have a exit plan if there's a big crash in front of me. So just try to keep the car clean the first 15, 20 laps and push after that.
Well, I don't know if Austin and Kenny have a question for you. Either one of you guys have any kind of questions for him?
Yeah, Patrick, it's Kenny up in the booth. I just want to know, what's it going to be like running with, it's a long race, but with so many drivers and starting in the back of the field. Do you think, is there going to be kind of a variance in lines? Are you going to be able to kind of choose where you want to go in this thing?
I think at the beginning, where if I'm starting in the even, I'll be up top. So I'll probably have to run the top at the beginning unless, I don't know, a bunch of cars get backed up or one line doesn't go, then I'll have to try and pick where I'm going. But usually at the beginning it's pretty hairy, but then if we can get like 4 or 5 green flag laps, then it gets spread out and you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go then.
Hey Patrick, this is JR here. Just wanted to ask you a question. Based on the race that we saw earlier tonight at Charlotte, do you expect a lot of cautions in this race, or do you think that we're going to have a lot of green flag racing? Because we know the type of racing that Knoxville can produce with these sprint cars.
Yeah, I watched some of the Charlotte race. I saw there's a lot of cautions. We got a lot of cautions at Volusia on Wednesday nights, but they're more of like a smaller track. Charlotte's pretty big, but in the turns, people will slide up off the bottom and then they can get into each other. Knoxville, it's pretty big all the way around, and you can kind of stop your car from sliding up. So I think as long as people are patient, we should be able to get some green flag laps, and I hope fully, because 50 laps of a caution every lap would not be very fun and take forever.
Well, I tell you what, Kenny and JR, Patrick is going to be one of our in-race reporters here very soon. So just a little bit of experience with him tonight that you guys have got to talk a little bit here. Patrick, you think you're ready for that next week? Or you're more nervous about maybe doing that here in the future or running this race next?
I'll probably run this race next. Start so far back, but because I now have a car that can probably get top 5, top 10, but it just got to make it. Just got to survive the 50 laps and avoid the wrecks.
I think you'll do great tonight. I look forward to you maybe taking a stab at that Hard Charger award from where you're going to be starting. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for your path here?
Just shout out for you guys for putting this on, for doing broadcast Wednesdays, to the Steve King Foundation, to John for running a lot of stuff behind the scenes, Roger for running the league, Dad and Uncle sit here and watch every week, and wife that sits here and puts up with us. So yeah.
Well, we look forward to watching you maybe come from the back to the front there. I do expect you to be up front, so no pressure. I won't try to give you the commentator's curse and pick you in the beginning, but good luck here tonight, and hopefully we'll talk to you here again before too long.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yep, that's Patrick Spangler, our veterans winner for the veterans proportion of the King of the Wing Charity Foundation for the Steve King Foundation. And guys, we had one other interview lined up here, and I don't see them in here, so I think they may be running behind schedule. So, we've got another race here, and I tell you guys, you thought it was intense before. Now there's a trophy. There's $100 on the line. I think you're going to see business pick up here.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, a large field, but these guys all earn their spot into the field, so you have the 20 plus fastest guys that Coast to Coast has to offer, and around a ripping fast track as well. Kyle Moonen in this little warm-up session is nearly 2/10 above the field as far as fast laps, so he's one driver I'll be watching out for. And JR, what do you think the race tendency is going to be like out there?
It's going to be interesting because this is a place that we know the bottom can work very well, especially when there's moisture. But ultimately, they're going to be running right up top, and this track is known for producing great races with these sprint cars and allowing drivers to do slide jobs when it comes down to it. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys up top through this A main, and the guys that are going to be moving forward are the ones that can make that bottom work, at least going into the corner, and hopefully they can clear the guy they're trying to pass.
And again, go ahead, John.
Sorry, I was going to say, and the other thing is, a lot of these guys, the big challenge tonight is Kyle Moonen is on the pole, and Kyle Moonen has won the last 2 charity events. So the Lance Ripka Designs trophy, he's got a collection of them. So you know what? Someone's going to need to dethrone him tonight. That's the challenge I think these guys are going to have. JR used to that on Saturday nights with BRL. You know, that guy that you're the guy to beat. Kyle Moonen's the JR of C2C for sure.
We'll have to keep an eye on him. I'll be interested to see what kind of moves he's got tonight.
Yeah, very smooth. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. His teammate, who's going to be in the back there, Steve Goldner, it's going to be fun watching those 2 guys. You know that Patrick Spangler is going to be in the back. He's also a guy that's really fast. You know, these different servers that we've had this week and how everything is set up, you're going to have a mixture of just not like all the fast guys up front. They're going to be sprinkled through the field. And, you know, and frankly, anybody can win this thing. But you're going to see a really a race with a lot of passing, I think, which is exciting.
I do want to mention that the King of the Wing charity race is brought to you by the Steve King Foundation. That's the whole cause that has brought these drivers together. It was formed to help the dirt track racing community across the country by providing financial assistance to drivers, pit crew members, racing officials, track operations personnel, or the immediate families of those individuals who suffer serious illness, injury, or death. Check them out at stevekingfoundation.org. All entry fees and donations from tonight's event go directly to this cause. And we have now gone to the track here at Knoxville to look at some of the action going on in a little warm-up session before the drivers go on into the feature here. And John, is there anything you're noticing about drivers or what they're doing or how the track is wearing in so far?
Yeah, before I get to that, real quick about the Steve King Foundation, and to give just a little more detail on what that is they help the little guy, the guys that you would see at your local store tracks. You know, if somebody gets hurt or have an unfortunate set of events, they'll come in and pay maybe medical bills that insurance doesn't pay for and things like that. And they've helped a lot of great drivers. And if you're not racing tonight, you can still go to our website and donate to this. If you just go to C2CRL.com, you know, whether you donate $5, $10, you never know. It might, you know, end up helping out one of your hometown heroes that you see every week at your own track. I mean, we hope that doesn't be the case, but you just never know. It's such a great cause. And, you know, looking at the action here, you know, I can already see that these guys are up top, and you see the guy of the hour there, Kyle Moonen, is out there practicing. He was up on the top there. And I'll tell you, the one challenge with these cars, that top is fast, but there is a berm, and I don't even want to use a berm, but I want to say a motocross jump that develops right about where turn 2 is, and also almost right between 3 and 4. And the challenge is going to be up there going fast, but getting over that bump and through that bump is going to be, I think, the biggest challenge for some of these guys tonight.
Certainly will be. And Jared, did you have anything to chime in there about the race conditions?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, we're watching on screen here Kyle Moonen, and he's running a perfect line for being able to pass people, for sure. He's starting out front. Hopefully he won't have to do a whole lot of that, but guys need to be paying attention to what he's doing, because he's able to run that slider line going in from the bottom, and he just runs a nice, consistent slide all the way up to the top. He's not out of control, and looks like he's making up time doing it.
Yeah, he may not be passing a lot of guys starting up front, but you know what? If we get a long green flag run, he's going to be in traffic passing lap cars. So, you know, that's really smart of him to be seeing exactly what he can do right now while there's no, you know, while he does have traffic out there to play around with.
Hey, gentlemen.
This is the boss man, Roger Craig. Roger, how are you tonight?
Out of breath. I just running all the way up the bleachers to catch you guys. We're having a few technical problems here. There's a few guys having trouble getting into the iRacing session, so that's why we're just holding it off. I see we're up to 25 now, so there's only a couple more got to get in. But I just wanted to explain to you guys what was going on. So we're just going to give them a bit of time. We don't want anybody to miss this.
I can tell you what they are. They're probably across it's National Pizza Day. They're probably across the street at that Casey's General getting pizza before they come in. That's what I think probably the real reason is here.
Well, as long as they're there and not at the bar across the road, too.
Yeah, as long as they're not at the Dingus. If they're at the Dingus, you might have a whole other problem on the track here. But, it's a really cool community out there. JR, Kenny, I don't know if either one of you guys have been out to Knoxville, but it's a really small community. But I tell you what, the whole town comes out and supports whenever these things go on. I was fortunate enough to go out there for the 360 Nationals last season, and man, I tell you, the town really rolls out the red carpet for all these drivers and everybody that comes into town. It's a really, really neat event.
Yeah, I'll say, John, I've never been there, but it's definitely one of those things that is on my bucket list. I have watched a ton of races at this track on TV from various series, and they always put on some great racing. So it's definitely someplace I want to go to.
Yeah, I've never been either, but funny you say that, though. On the way home on the ferry from Wisconsin back to Michigan, I ran into a guy from Iowa on the ferry, and that's exactly what he said, is Knoxville, the whole town rallies around this track, and really, they have capacities that are larger than the town itself. It's a pretty nice sight to see a dirt track get so much support like Knoxville does.
Yeah, the last time I was up there, it was really, really neat because, number one, I got to meet the guy you see on the screen right there, Josh Gerlach, in that 71. I actually got to sit with him, his family. His dad, I think, or his grandpa, I think, was an announcer out there, which was really, really neat. And then one of our main sponsors you see up in the other corner, that 47, that Dylan Westbrook Racing logo there. Dylan was racing that night, so I got to go down and meet and talk with him for a little bit. And it was just, like I said, it was a really cool atmosphere and a really neat event. And if you're a racing fan, I know that a lot of people refer to Iowa's flyover country, and this is one of those things. Yeah, you know what? Make a plan and take a trip out there, see the museum, and go out and be supportive of this track. And it's really cool. And the Steve King Foundation, when they do the actual Knoxville Nationals, they're usually out there fundraising and have a booth. And I think they had I think maybe a cornhole tournament or something that maybe went on this last time. I don't remember correctly, but it's really, really cool, all the stuff that goes on out here.
And albeit it may be a little bit out of order, but JR, let's run through the track details real quick. Let's get a little specific about Knoxville, Iowa, and the challenges these drivers will face.
Yeah, Knoxville Raceway is an amazing track. So it's a semi-banked half-mile dirt oval, and it's referred to as the sprint car capital of the world. And you're going to see why tonight with the show that these guys are able to put on. Again, this is one of those places that the top line is always the more dominant line, especially when that motocross jump gets formed that John talked about up against the wall. So it's going to be extremely fast up top, but we've seen in practice already that if you're somebody that has speed and you can get up to the guy in front of you, you can run that line that Kyle Moonen was running earlier and really do a slider line. Just go in next to the berm on the inside and just gingerly slide all the way up the track until you hit the cushion up top. And that's what you're going to have to do tonight, I'm afraid. I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of guys that are going to be able to make that bottom work consistently lap after lap. So I think you're going to have to be able to pass guys the way Kyle Moonen was showing us earlier in practice.
Yeah, it will be fun to watch people rip around the top. Real quick, I want to give a special thanks to all the sponsors for helping make this event possible. Mara Farm Management, Gambler Motorsports, Can-Am Racing Team, Chip Banger Racing, Venom Racing, Ripka Designs, Tin Can Wraps for Charity, VMR Wraps, Velocity Wraps, and Magnum Race Design. And we're getting closer to that event with some last little preparations from race control going on at the moment. John, you're in the driver's seat. What kind of feelings you got? You got any kind of anxiousness going on, or are you just kind of excited to get out there?
Man, I just can't wait to get out there. Once you're excited, when you're signing into the server, you're excited when you wake up today, but once you get on that track, you start turning laps. You got to just tune everything out and what's going on here, and it's just another race. If you look at the car right now there in Victory Lane, that is actually a replica of the Steve King car. Well, he just exited out of his car, but that is a Steve King Foundation car, and it's a replica of Steve King's car. So when you do see that 88 out there of Dan McLaren, that car, like I said, is a replica. It's a very cool tribute. But going back to your question, though, I tell you, the nerves are there, like I said, as you kind of get ready, because there is something on the line here. There is a trophy and everything else. But from the most part, you just, like I said, you got to tune it out and go to work. If you're thinking of those other things, it's real easy to slip up and cause a problem and turn one lap one, and you definitely don't want to be that guy.
And to add to the anxiousness, there's also some prize money on the line. There's $100 to the winner, plus a trophy donated by Ripka Designs for first place. Second place will win $50, $25 goes to third, $15 to fourth place, and $10 goes to fifth. So something more for these guys to play for, and we all know that when money's on the line, it brings out the aggression, and it brings out some high skill as well. Guys will do things that maybe you haven't seen in the past.
Yeah, I think it will, and and like I said, the trophy is the thing. I'm fortunate if I've got a trophy for winning a late model charity race, and I'm very proud of it. And I actually, I see it often. I've got it near my desk, and I do look at that even still about every time I sit down. So I've got a lot of other trophies from C2C, but that one, the charity race, is the one that stands out for me. And these guys, are all shooting for that trophy. I know that $100 sounds nice and all, but like I said, I think the trophy is, it's it. That's what I'd be going at.
That's what I was going to say, John. The money's nice, but the trophy is extremely nice. It's something that's going to stay around. You're going to see all the time. So I know that's what I would be gunning for.
Yeah, racing's got two kinds of people: the ones that go broke trying to get rich, and ones that are just out there trophy hunting. And that's about your two different types of race car driver.
So it looks like the driver intros here are about to get going here in a moment, but we're taking a look at Dan McLaren's sweet machine. He gave that thing a really nice run in the feature at Charlotte to get into the show, so it's nice to see that car, the tribute car, make its way into the final here at Knoxville. But we are ready for the driver intros, and we'll get ready to watch those take place.
Hey, boys.
Hello, Roger.
We're ready to rock and roll. Just wanted to let you know.
We are ready for you. Here we go. We're looking at Kyle Moonen, and he will be the first one to come out. So Kyle Moonen starting pole position from Lima, Ohio, on the Brandybuilt team, and he is sponsored by Velocity Race Design, ABR Setup Shop, and Fitz Photography. You will see all the drivers drive around and make a lap to showcase all the drivers that have made the field.
Yeah, and just real quick, Kyle Moonen again has won the last two charity events, so right there I think is going to be the cat to beat tonight.
JR, do you want to take P2 as we look at Randy Shreves there?
Absolutely. I'll take P2. Starting in second is Randy Shreves tonight. He is out of Springfield, Illinois, and driving for Team LGR Motorsports. His sponsors are ABR Setup Shop, Redline Race Designs, and KSB Builders. Look for him to be running up front all night.
That'll be your front row tonight. Sweet looking number 15 or 56 machine of Randy Shreves. And next to come out is Connor Ross, starting in third place from Cambridge, Ontario. The Gambler Motorsports driver, sponsored by Burger Barn, Petro Plus, Pesky Penguin, and Retail Design Group.
Yeah, that's a Gambler driver, so he's that's probably who I should be rooting for, because he's holding the flag for us here tonight.
So it looks like P4 Isaac Salas has not made it into this server. So why don't you take P5 there, JR?
Yeah, we're going down to P5. So starting there tonight is the number 5 car of Donovan Ross. He is out of Burlington, Washington, from Team Rudine SRC. And his sponsors tonight are Rudine Racing, All In Construction, and Premier Door Company. So he will be moving up due to Isaac not making the race.
And starting in P6 is Bob Evertson in the 008 car from Kernersville, North Carolina, from Wide Open Motorsports, sponsored by BB7 Setups and Getting Mobile Repair. That's a sweet looking bright green machine. I like it.
Yeah, we probably should give a shout out to the BBR guys too, because those guys did chip in and help sponsor this thing. So nice to see a new team get involved with our league, and we want to thank those guys for being a part of this.
Absolutely, and 7th place tonight will be the number 31 of Brandon Templeton out of Corning, Iowa. He is Team Icon Sim Sports. Sponsors are Icon Sim Sports, Big C's Lawn Care, and Extreme Images by Ashley.
And Brandon picked up a win last week in a midget at Kokomo here in the series. So this is one of our faster drivers, and who is capable of winning at about anything that he gets into.
Starting P8 is the number 9 car, Brian Lawson from Stanfordville, New York, the Venom Racing driver, sponsored by TEC Performance. Actually, the 9 looks a little bit like the 9 that we see on Saturday nights from Justin Morton on the Bootleg Racing League side.
Yeah, it does. And I'll tell you, and Brian here, what's really impressive with him, he's one of our guys that are probably, I would call, a big block specialist more than a sprint car, and he's put it up towards the front of this field here.
And looks like we're going to skip down to the 414 car of Brennan Lacey tonight. He is out of St. Edmund, Oklahoma. He is from Team Bandybuilt, and his sponsors tonight are Velocity Race Design, ABR Setup Shop, and Fitz Photography.
Yeah, and he is one of the guys that is actually a real world racer too. Runs that modified out there at Outlaw Motor Speedway in Muskogee and a few places around Oklahoma, so he's a strong driver too.
Starting P11 is the 00. It's Nicholas Vickery, who we've talked to in the past, from Wilson, North Carolina. The Spartan Racing driver is sponsored by VMR Wraps, SBGC 3D Printing, Mirror Image Auto Spa. He's a quick driver.
Yeah, Nick is familiar to the audience here. He's quite often been our in-race reporter and does an excellent job there.
Yeah, absolutely does. Another quick driver is the 20 of Blake Chapman out of Clarence, Iowa. He is the Correct Sim Racing team, and his sponsors tonight are BB7 Setups, Giddings Mobile Repair, and Stevenson Family Performance.
Yeah, and he is a former Renegades champion, which is our premier division. He's a 2-time defending champion, so this is another one of those guys that you got to keep your eyes on.
13th place will be the 07 of Preston Cranmer from Aylett, Virginia. The Kreitz Sim Racing driver, also teammates to Blake Chapman, sponsored by Kreitz Oval Track Parts, Malcolm's Mills Mill Writing, that's a mouthful, and Galen's Gourmet Popcorn.
And our next driver is the 71 of Josh Gerlach. We saw him in the race earlier tonight, put on a show for everybody. He is out of Bondurant, Iowa for Dizzy Motorsports, and his sponsors tonight are AlwaysRaceDay.com, NetCodeShop.com, and Netcode Esports.
Yeah, Josh is a really, really talented driver, and like I said, he's a guy that I bet down here at this Knoxville Speedway. He grew up around this track, so this is a special race for him.
And next up behind him will be the number 30 of Stephen Goldner. He was very quick in that LCQ from St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada. Another Brandybuilt Racing driver, sponsored by Velocity Race Designs, Brandybuilt Race Cars, and Fitz Perfect Photography. He'll be a driver to watch coming from near the back.
Yeah, he's one of our newly elected Hall of Famers for the league, and won a lot of races, won a lot of championships. We saw what he did this last race, came from 17th to 2nd to get here. Another driver that's one to watch.
And another driver to watch from earlier tonight, he showed that he knows how to come through the field doing it at Charlotte. This is the 10 car of Ross Carenta, and he is out of Fisher, Minnesota, and driving for Phantom Motorsports tonight.
And he is also the owner and operator there of Velocity Race Designs, who also donates, a wrap to part of the raffle here. So we owe a big thank you to Ross. And oh, by the way, he's a heck of a driver and definitely one to watch tonight.
Next on the board is the 78 of Jack Clevenger. And I'm not seeing him actually on the driver list, but we saw him. Oh, did he? He actually disconnected possibly here, but there he is. He's back. So he was a quick driver as well in that LCQ. We'll have to look out for him in the 78 car as he continues around the track.
Yeah, Jack's a longtime member of the league, and he's quite fast.
Our next driver tonight will be Dan McLaren, driving the 88 car out of Hamilton, Ontario. He is driving for McLaren Motorsports tonight with the sponsors Weld Star Custom Fabrication, T8 Customs, and Velocity Race Design.
Yeah, he's part of that team down there that is quite fast, and those Spartan guys do a lot for the league, and we thank them too.
Next is the 61 car of Terry Landis as he takes out the commitment cone on pit exit out of Desert Hot Springs, California. The KSR driver, sponsored by Kreitz Oval Track Parts, Galen's Homegrown Popcorn.
Terry is the original Renegades champion, and just an all-around fantastic guy, fantastic driver. Been with the league since pretty much day one.
And our next driver tonight is the driver Jeffrey Kemper in the 181 car out of Lebanon, Oregon tonight.
Jeff Kemper has been around a lot and runs one of those guys that supports every one of our leagues. You see him everything from late models to the non-wing cars and everything else. Great competitor here in C2C.
It looks like Taylor Wineland is going to be next on the board. Brian Dickens not in the server. There's Taylor Wineland in the 005 car. Had a pretty good run in his last chance qualifying race as well, and we've seen him around in the various leagues for C2C out of Owasso, Michigan. So hey, there's a guy I can root for. Black Bullet Racing driver, also sponsored by Duff with Gasman Setups and Highside Motorsports.
Yeah, these guys are a relatively new bunch here to us, Black Bullet, but they've stepped up, helped us with the charity, and I look forward to them racing hard here tonight.
Our next driver tonight is going to be Keith Jackson driving the number 13 car.
Yeah, Keith used to be a competitor with us a way back, and he comes in now for the special events. Super quick driver. He'll be one of the guys that will be tough to beat and probably work their way up towards the front.
And now we're into the Veterans Provisional. That's Patrick Spangler, who we talked to earlier. He is from Tip City, Ohio, a Vanderpool racing driver, sponsored by Vanderpool Construction, AAA Designs, and Speed Shop 51. I'm not sure if we noted earlier, but the auction provisional went to G.J. Boydell in the 014 car.
Yeah, GJ will be starting in the 25th position, I believe, tonight. And he is out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. He is driving for Team Me, Myself, and I Racing. His sponsors are Piggy Bank, Glass Cookie Jar, and Rolled Up Pennies.
And that was right. A birthday present was given to Joe Canellis, I believe that is, the auction provisional. So that's my bad on that one. Actually, he's starting 26. That's right. So Canellis is in the field, and
yeah, Canellis got one of the two. We gave two provisionals, and Joe got one as a present from Preston Kramer, who's also in the field as a birthday present. And Joe's one I'll be rooting for. I was actually spotting for him last night.
There you go. Canellis is from from Bristow, Virginia. Bubbling Springs Racing, sponsored by the World of Sports podcast, Inside Out, Setups, and Custom Paints. And we'll move on to the next driver, JR.
And it looks like we've got Brandon Schultz driving the 193 car tonight.
Brandon from St. Paul, Minnesota, the Brandy Built Racing driver, sponsored by Velocity Race Design, ABR Setup Shop, and Fitz Photography. And we should have one more driver on the board. That's Kevin Fry, number 21 car from Burleson, Texas. The Firm Motorsports is his team, and he's sponsored by Apex Auto Glass, 21 iRacing Designs, and The Firm. That is your entire field, it looks like. The 27-car field tonight here at Knoxville Raceway for this special charity event for the C2C Racing League.
Yeah, and again, real quick, if you're watching, you know what, you can donate still. Just go to C2CRL.com and you click on the pop-up that comes up, and you'll be able to donate. And like I said, $5, $10, $50, whatever you might can do, it would be very much appreciative. And you never know, it could end up helping someone that might be right there at your own hometown track.
So we should be seeing these guys soon getting onto the track and pacing around, and we will end up seeing a 4-wide salute. Stay tuned for that. And then we'll have 50 laps to run here. John, is this kind of an endurance race, if you will, for these sprint car drivers?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, they're going to be really close on fuel, so they might have to take a lap or two to just make sure that they're running the bottom to kind of conserve that fuel. But it is a much longer race than you're used to. The track is going to change dramatically. With the track that these guys are going to start on are going to be completely different than the track they finish on. So one of their most important jobs, you know, that goes right there with not wrecking, is reading the track and make sure you're choosing the right lane at the right times. And that's going to be paramount here tonight.
John, how important do you think it's going to be being able to maneuver through lap traffic? Do you see them catching lap traffic or not so much?
If we get green flag runs, absolutely, I see them catching it. I think, and when they do, you know, it's going to be it happens also when you're racing. You know, you got to know who you're racing around, because you can race guys a certain way, you know, run them door handle. You can have confidence. Some other guys that, you know, might struggle with a little bit of car control, you want to give them a little extra room. Well, you got to have your relative up, and you got to be looking at who you're coming up to and know their tendencies and you know, drive accordingly. And that's going to be, if we do get those long green flag runs, that will absolutely come into effect.
Drivers pulling into the pit lane here, and we're just about to get into the race session. This is technically still part of the warm-up, but we're ready to go racing here. You guys see the lineup. Is there any drivers you guys are gonna does anybody have any picks tonight?
I mean, definitely the guys that are up front are probably some of the favorites right now, Kyle Moonen and Randy Shreves, but I'm going to be paying attention to those guys like Nick Vickery and Blake Chapman that are starting around P11 and P12, so expect those guys to be making up some ground early.
Yeah, I think Kyle Moonen is in the catbird seat. We see him on the Hometown Heroes, always strong. Expect him to be strong here. But I'm going to go a little further back, JR. I'm going to go with Brandon Schultz and Stephen Goldner further back in the pack to come forward here as two dark horses.
So we'll look at the field again here real quick. We'll go through it. We got Kyle Moonen on pole, starting next to Randy Shreves. Connor Ross and Isaac Salas, who did not make into the session. So Donovan Ross is next. Robert Evertson and Brandon Templeton. Brian Lawson in 8th. Brennan Lacey in 9th. Nick Vickery rounds out the top 10, JR.
Yeah, starting 11th tonight is Blake Chapman. 12th will be Preston Cranmer. 13th goes to Josh Gerlich, who transferred in earlier tonight along with Steve Goldner. 15th is Ross Carenta. 16th goes to Jack Clevenger. 17th, Dan McLaren. 18th is Terry Landis. 19th is Jeffrey Kemper. 20th is Brian Dickens. 21st goes to Taylor Wineland. 22nd will be Keith Jackson. And 23rd will be Patrick Spangler. 24th, TJ Boydell.
Yep, and the last few drivers here is Joe Canellis in 25th, Brandon Schultz 26th, and Kevin Fry is in 27th. Roger Craig is just an admin. He's done a lot of work putting this race on, so glad to have Roger with us. But here they go. Drivers are out on the track now. Expect to see the 4-wide salute, which is a cool staple that a lot of dirt tracks like to feature, especially Knoxville and especially in the sprint cars. One thing I noticed, John, is 0% track state. Totally fresh track for the race here. How do you think that's going to impact things?
Well, like I said, what the race you're going to start on is not going to be the race you're going to finish on. And, at first you're going to see a lot of guys fighting for the bottom. You're going to give it maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 laps, and all of a sudden you're going to see a second line start to form. These guys are going to have to recognize when to jump up to do it. That's going to add to this. It's going to be a lot of fun watching these guys have to read the track and make those moves at the right time, because that can be the difference between you winning this thing or finishing 10th or 11th.
Now, JR, talk about the fact that a lot of drivers, some will like a fresh track and maybe fade as the track wears out, and other drivers might really not care for a fresh track, and they'll look forward to when the track starts to wear out and get slick.
Absolutely. I was going to say there's going to be comers and goers all through this race, depending on their driving style and how the car is reacting tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, the guys that are up front early may not be there as the race winds down, just depending on everybody's driving style and the lanes that they prefer to run.
Take a look out here, and as the early fireworks going off here in Knoxville, Iowa at the start, as we get ready to do the 4-wide salute. They're starting to line up now. And a pretty cool event here from the Coast to Coast Racing League, doing this King of the Wing event for the Steve King Foundation. As they get formed into the 4-wide, we'll take a little bit of a silence here, just listen to the engines and watch the cars go around the track. right, that 4 wide salute, that always gives you chills, doesn't it, John?
Yeah, it does. And actually, even when you're in the car, you only do those when it's when the race is a big deal. So that's another one of those reminders. Okay, this is what you're about to do is a big deal. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk Roger sometime, maybe for a fun race. Just start him 4 wide like that and see what happens. That should be that'd be fun. But yeah, and then now as soon as you get back here to 2x2, though, you've got to put that visor down, so to speak, and flip that switch and go to work here.
Right, for sure. It's definitely time to go to work. It's kind of that 4 wide salute's almost like a pep talk, really. It's a good motivation for the drivers and for the people in the stands too. Everybody watching at home. But it definitely is foreshadowing of some wide open, good racing. We are 2x2 now, down the back stretch, and we are ready to get this thing going for the King of the Wing charity race here at Knoxville, brought to you by the Steve King Foundation. Kyle Moonen on the pole in that 24 car. We should have a green flag. We'll see if we get it this lap or not. We may go one more lap. Looks like we are going to go one more lap. So the suspense will keep building here as we get ready to start this thing. JR, any final thoughts?
Yeah, these guys are, like John said, just trying to get themselves focused. I'm sure they're going through the opening laps in their mind right now. We have a different track state than what we practiced on, so a lot of guys are probably trying to figure out where they want to run going into turn 1. And the thing is, we're going to have guys side by side. So the guys out front, they know what kind of line they want to run. The guys that are running side by side, they're kind of dealt with the cards that they have. So they're going to have to just run that line, try to do it the best they can, and get single filed out and go to racing.
And John, real quick, do you think any advantage and or disadvantage for the guys that already have run some laps tonight at Charlotte, albeit it was a different track?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's, because none of them been on a track that's like this with this many cars, and with these caliber of drivers. So I don't think there's any advantage here. These guys all are professionals. They know what they're doing. The nice thing is too, we're on lap 7 now out of the 50. You can take the fuel burn equation pretty much out of it now. These guys can go hammer down from the get-go.
Yes, a good point there. We did technically take the green flag, so this race is starting a little bit after the 50 lap mark, or will be a little bit less than 50 laps total. We are on lap 7, and there's the green flag. Kyle Moonen has taken it a really good jump on the bottom side, and we are green for the King of the Wing charity race, and a good start for Moonen as he dives down to turn 3.
Absolutely. Connor Ross is following him through at the moment, while Randy Shreves is trying to make that outside line work early. A little bit surprising to me, but he's making it work.
Yeah, he is. We come off of turn 2 another time. We're on lap 9 now, and Shreves has Connor Ross on his inside. A really nice move there from Ross. Sticks his nose in there, and he's able to, I think, get the pass done. So it looks like the bottom line is strong early, John.
Yeah, it really does, and that's kind of what I expected. Everybody try to get down there and kind of run that line, but here's going to be, we got a caution.
It looks like Brian Dickens twirled around and tumbled down the backstretch. Looks like, I believe that was Dan McLaren, kind of came down on him there on the exit, and just a loss of room there for the 122, and he goes for a tumble. What do you think, JR? Just kind of just two drivers going for the same space there?
Yeah, a little bit there, and then of course you've got the issue with the vision, with the way the wings are and everything. It's really hard to tell, and John spoke about it earlier, talking about the different systems that people use. Are they using VR? Do they have a single monitor? Are they running triple? So the point of view from each driver is a little bit different, and sometimes contact's just made.
Yeah, so now we will have to reset, and I believe this will be another single file restart like the rest of the C2C races. But, how do you, John, we ran a long little caution there, a little start. Are the butterflies kind of gone now that we've actually, gotten a few green flag laps under our belt?
Oh yeah, I'm usually mad at somebody by this point already. So the race is off and it's going. But I'll tell you, now's one of the first critical. You're going to see the track change for the first time, go through a change. So you already saw Patrick Spangler up top, working that outside line a little bit before he fell in here. Now it's going to be who gets up there and makes it work first, who can make the most ground up, and who can see who's doing it and get up there and emulate them.
We have eclipsed lap number 10, so we do have 40 more to go. And the leader will control the restart here, Kyle Moonen. He had a decent little lead, but Connor Ross was looking really strong at the beginning of that little run. Pace truck is off, and here comes Kyle Moonen. He will start us out, and he is down into turn 1. We'll have to get back to the live pictures. But Kyle Moonen's still leading down into turn 3. And we're single file at the moment here, except for third place. Randy Shreves dropping back through the field here at the moment, losing ground with Connor Ross on the bottom, but Shreves coming back on the top side.
And John, talk us through this. So, we started with a fresh track state, everybody kind of running toward the bottom early on. How hard is it to judge that inside berm? Because it's hard to tell from the TV or the sim here while we have a caution. But walk us through it real quick.
Yeah, that berm is really hard to see, and I can't count how many times I've hit it, especially in a late model. But that's going to be the godsend of the track going higher and higher. They can get away from that berm a little bit. So
it looks like right there was just a little bit of a kind of an accordion effect, a little bit of contact between Keith Jackson and I believe it was Taylor Wineland. And that kind of accordion, the drivers up behind Jackson, and a few other drivers piled in there, like Brandon Schultz was involved, again in the middle of the field there. So another quick caution, Brandon Schultz actually in the pits now. So we're only to lap 13 at the moment. But I noticed that Randy Shreves, he's up towards the front still, and he was actually moved up one lane. He wasn't up at the top, but I noticed he was the first guy to kind of actually start to make some headway a little bit higher than the very bottom.
Yeah, guys are definitely looking up top already and finding some speed out of that. How many more guys you think are going to start jumping up there on this next restart, John?
It's a monkey see, monkey do world, and if you just saw a guy sitting in third overtake the guy in second up there, you're going to go up there and try it. At least if you're smart, you will. Like I said, this is about the time I knew it was going to start going through its first transition, and you got to get up there now and start kind of walking up there a little bit. And there will be a point, too, where that bottom might come back in once it gets far enough up towards the top.
And I do think that Shreves, I don't think he was there intentionally. I think he was kind of forced up there with Donovan Ross and kind of looking to pass him, but he made the best of it. He's back up into second place now, and it'll be interesting to see if he goes up there by choice now with Kyle Moonen up ahead of him as we're coming down the back stretch. With Moonen still leading, we'll be starting lap 14 when we go green this time. Moonen kind of checking the field up a bit here, letting the pace truck get pretty far away. The pace truck dives down. Moonen up at the top, and he's going to dive down the track as he will take the green flag. Start lap 14 with some fast drivers in behind.
Absolutely. Right behind him is Randy Shreves, continue to hold on to second place, almost mirroring what Moonen is doing there. Back in third and fourth, we got Donovan Ross. Fourth place just got taken over by Brendan Lacey, though.
Yeah, Connor Ross really struggled on that restart, and he's actually kind of getting freight trained by drivers up above him. He's lost 3 spots now. Evertson ahead of him, Lacey ahead of him, and Ross ahead of him as well. So that was a very poor restart for Connor Ross, and he kind of looked like he was in the catbird seat a restart or two ago.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Maybe he caught a little bit of that berm, kind of upset the car, but definitely the guys that got to his outside were able to hold him down and just go right by him for sure. It's happening again, though, so that outside line's definitely coming in more and more.
Yeah, John, it looks like the drivers are already moving up another car width. They're about 2 car widths up above the bottom line now.
Yeah, it's going to happen fast, and as you go up there, you just keep pushing. But I'll tell you, there's contact.
Contact. Yeah, Connor Ross, he had just moved up a groove, and figures for him, as soon as he moves up a groove, Car sticks it down in there below him. That was Preston Cranmer, and pretty much pushed up into him, and nowhere for Connor Ross to go. He does a good job locking it down, but he smacks his rear end into the outside fence. And wow, an unfortunate green flag run for Ross gets even worse there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always a vulnerable spot to be in. You know you need to move up. It's the faster way around, but when you got a guy on your inside, you're never sure how much he's going to push up the track or try to move you up the track. And yep, just unfortunate for him. He's lost a lot of ground. He still has some time that he can try to come back, but it's going to be rough.
And look already, we will be starting laps 18 when we go green next time in a lap or two here. But 50 lap feature, we're nearly halfway done. But boy, John, I'm surprised at how quickly this track state is changing.
Yeah, these guys put a lot of power down on that track and eat it up quick, as fast as they're going. But take a look through the field, though. There's some passing going on, even though we've had a couple cautions here. Stephen Goldner is already up to 11th. He was came from towards the back, and I can see that as we cycle through a couple of other movers here. So there's the track is still racy, though. That's always a good sign.
I actually missed a lead change. Randy Shreves actually had just barely nosed ahead of Kyle Moonen as we got that caution. He made that pass happen on the bottom side, so an impressive move for Randy Shreves, who will now lead this field to green for the first time. So we'll see what Randy Shreves does. A little bit of a higher line. You see Moonen looking low as we go green, and Shreves will lead us down into turn 1.
Absolutely. Everybody's trying to sort it out, get up to where that cushion is now at. It's about 3/4 of the way up the track at the moment. The guys are going to continue to push that up higher and higher. Moonen's run just a little bit lower, though. He's found some grip about the middle of the track.
I wonder if he's going to try something similar to what was done to him for the lead, as Shreves, like I said, was able to put that pass on the bottom side. A few car length advantage now for Shreves. He's got a little bit of space. Moonen's got a little space as well. The first big battle really is Donovan Ross with Brennan Lacey right behind him, and a little bit of contact between those two drivers. And behind them, Robert Evertson is trying to pounce on them. That's the back portion of the top 5.
Absolutely, and we do have some big movers in this race so far. So you got Patrick Spangler back in 13th. He's up 10 spots already. And you've got other guys like Josh Gerlach, who transferred in. He's moving forward, along with Blake Chapman, who is up to 6th place now.
I was mistaken. I was saying earlier that Isaac Salas didn't make it into the feature, but he is in the feature. He's in the 13th spot at the moment. So apologies for any misinformation about that. So a decent run for him so far. But yeah, I am seeing some passing going on, both in the top line and in the bottom. But I feel like if you're going to make a pass in the bottom at this point, you probably have to do a slide job.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That top line is extremely fast right now. That's where all the momentum is going to be able to be kept in these cars. The guys that can pass are going to be the ones that are really good at doing that slide job, almost touching that berm on the inside as they go to pass someone.
We got side by side for 3rd and 4th. Donovan Ross, using up Brennan Lacey there for, I think it was 3rd place. Lacey's going to drop a couple spots. Oh, and a slide job attempt right in front of him. More contact. Lacey's up in the fence. So far, so good. These guys managed to keep it straight. That was a close one.
Absolutely great driving by those guys. These cars are not easy to hang on to once you make contact with something, and both of them in the wall there, but not wrecking. That was really good driving.
More contact between Lacey and Josh Gerlach, or the LCQ winner at Charlotte. And these guys, John, they're really throwing slide jobs and not really caring necessarily if there's a car there.
No, it's believe it or not, the laps are running down here. If we continue to go green like this, these are going to go by quick. You got to go quick. And then Brennan was, up towards the front there and had a little bit of problems. And, it's not very fun sliding through the field. You get a little desperate to stop that slide, and sometimes you can make matters worse. But Brennan's a really good driver. I expect him to kind of bounce back here and maybe work his way back up. He needs a caution, I think, to reestablish himself as a front runner, though.
There's a look at Steven Goldner. We mentioned him, how fast he was at Charlotte, and he has made his way up from 14th to 7th. He's halfway through the field from where he started. He's got 6 more spots to grab, and he's been fast all night long. He's running a little bit lower than the driver in front of him, Robert Evertson, who has stayed exactly where he started, 6th, and is still in 6th place. But that line continues to move up, JR, as we're 30 laps into this.
Yeah, it's going to continue to do so, and looks like we got another caution on Speedway. I was just going to say we've got several guys moving through the field, but they've got a lot of ground to make up. But this caution's going to make them a little more even.
Yeah, a big wreck here. Taylor Wineland was involved. We had multiple drivers tumbling in this one. Brandon Templeton was hit by multiple cars. Isaac Salas, of course, I started talking about him, and then he wrecks. So another commentator curse on my part. Dan McLaren was involved. That was a large wreck with a lot of tumbling going on.
As we see on the screen there, Connor Ross and the guy inside of him, I could not see the number. Looked like they just get together there, spinning him around.
I think that was the previous caution, or one of the previous cautions.
You are correct.
Yeah, this one was again in the middle of the field. Talk though, John, about when you got a driver facing. Here's a good look at the accident right here. You see multiple drivers flipping through the air. Taylor Wineland goes for a ride, and it looks funny, but it isn't funny, right, John, when that happens?
No, especially when you're in VR, that's you need some Dramamine or something. But that tells you when you're going fast. I mean, you get into trouble like that, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa! When you take a big ride, you realize you're moving. But tough break for these guys. Good news is they do get a fast repair if they haven't already used them. They're going to be able to get back out there and compete here in these last 15, 20 laps or so.
Yeah, you saw Taylor Wineland go down the pit lane. Isaac Salas also, I believe, made his way down the pit lane to get fast repairs. But Randy Shreves now will control the field again as we come around and take the green flag, I believe this time by. He's letting the pace truck get away by just a bit, and the pace truck is off. And we're under green as well, starting lap 31, 20 to go in this one. So go down into turn 1 in a quick challenge by Donovan Ross on Kyle Moonen for second.
Yeah, absolutely. So, John, we got guys like Blake Chapman and Preston Cranmer. They're now running 4th and 5th. What kind of moves do you see them making moving forward here?
Aggressive. They're going to have to figure out a way to get around those top 2 guys. They've been fast all day, and we also see them on Wednesday nights. Those 2 guys are usually up front and battling for wins in the hometown heroes. So they're just carrying over their battles here to the special event here.
So there was another quick caution under that on that restart, a big pile up. We had Dan McLaren was involved, Brandon Schultz, Nick Vickery was tumbling, a big stack up there with multiple drivers. GJ Boydell also involved too, and that's a product of close racing right at the start. And as soon as you get a restart in any really form of oval racing, especially really any racing in general, lap 1 of a restart is the time when the biggest wrecks can happen, right, JR?
Yeah, that's the moment when you're the closest to more than just 1 or 2 cars. So you got guys in front and behind you that are just nose to tail, and depending on which lane they choose and which lane you choose, you're kind of guessing, and you're not really sure what kind of momentum they're going to be able to carry versus what you're going to be able to carry, and it puts you in a very vulnerable spot, especially if the guy in front of you makes a mistake. The odds are the guy behind you is not going to be able to check up, and it's just going to cause a big mess.
So on that restart, though, we did see Donovan Ross making a challenge for second place on Kyle Moonen. And John, are you maybe a little bit surprised that Kyle Moonen isn't showing the dominance that he does quite often?
Yeah, a little bit. And, I don't ever count that guy out. The track hasn't slicked up quite as much as what I would have hoped for, and I'm sure probably Kyle too. You want a little slicker, and you can utilize your skills a little more.
Here we go. Pace truck pulls off once again. We're starting lap 32 this time around. Randy Shreves brings him down, and he gets a decent jump again. Kyle Moonen following him up at the top line, and Ross this time decides to follow as well, sticking to the top line, and Blake Chapman is now settled into 4th with Preston Cranmer in 5th, and it's a big group in behind them.
Yeah, and I believe you see Stephen Goldner trying to make some moves down on the bottom side. He's had to go back up top and get back in line, but he tried on that restart to make some moves. It just wasn't there.
He is up 8 spots, though. Yet another spot is gained, 14th to 6th now for him, and he's looking on the inside of Preston Cranmer now for 5th place, and he's going to go to the bottom and try that pass out with the slide job.
Oh, it looks like he was able to complete that one. Now he's got to hold him off on the high side as they go down the back stretch. But, yeah, you're going to have to make moves like that early, and it looks like he got a crossover going into turn 3 there.
Oh, beautiful pass. It was aggressive, and Cranmer had to check up, and that's going to cause an accident in behind as Cranmer got all kinds of crossed up and got ran into from behind, which caused the accident. And due to some technical difficulties, we may not be able to show replays of it. But what happened was, I think Goldner really took Cranmer by surprise with being able to make that crossover happen. He got so close to his left front that Cranmer may have thought a contact was going to happen, so he kind of jerked the wheel to the side and lost a little bit of control, and here came Ross Corinta with a head of steam, smashed into the back of him, and ended up wrecking Corinta.
Yeah, exactly right. Very similar to what might happen on a start or a restart when somebody has to check up. He just checked up for him to avoid the contact, but unfortunately it upset his car, and contact from behind occurred.
But regardless, that will gain Stephen Goldner another spot, 14th to 5th. And John, do you think Stephen's got a podium in the cards?
You know, he was one of my picks earlier as a dark horse, but he's got some really strong guys up in front of him with Shreves and Moonen and Donovan Ross and Blake Chapman. You know, you guys have done these hometown hero races, and you're starting to see the cream rise to the top. You're seeing a lot of the same names that battle for those 360 wins all up front here, and we saw Blake Chapman dominate that series early on in the season. Kyle Moonen went on a run a few. I think Randy Shreves is leading those points. Donovan doesn't compete in it that often, I don't think, but when he does, he's a player. So no surprises here, but man, you know, for Stephen Goldner in that spot, you're looking ahead of you, and it's a tall task to get up there into the podium.
For sure, as the competition level in this series is quite high, and we were wondering, why is Kyle Moonen not dominating? But it's not like we're not going to sell the other guys short, because guys like Randy Shreves, Donovan Ross, Blake Chapman, Stephen Goldner, they are strong competition week in and week out. But here we go again. Randy Shreves will bring the field down. The pace truck leaves again, and here comes Randy Shreves. 15 laps to go in this one, the King of the Wing charity race. There goes Randy Shreves into turn 1 on the high side, and he's got a train of cars behind him all following on that top lane.
Absolutely. Everybody falling in line at the moment. We see Ross trying to run that little bit of a slider line, just seeing if it's able to allow him to pull away from Chapman. He knows Chapman's going to be looking on him pretty soon here.
I saw Goldner dive down to the bottom a little bit. There's Donovan Ross with Blake Chapman right up behind him as we have another caution on the speedway. Oh, wow. I believe Brennan Lacey got knocked up into the fence going into turn 1, and I think he got stuck there. We saw a few drivers in the midget cars get stuck at the Chili Bowl, but I don't remember the last time that's happened here at Knoxville. So less than 15 to go here. It's going to get to the point, John, where we're not going to necessarily have a long run to finish this race, even if we run the rest of the laps green flag from here on out. So it's going to limit the amount of time that you have to set up a pass and make up some spots.
It is, and the track is changing rapidly. It's slicking up, and that might be part of the reason you're seeing more cautions come out, because the cars are not stuck to the track as much. They're moving around. So, as you set things up and make your plan on how to get these restarts and where you might want to pass a guy, you've got to make sure that you're clear when you're, especially if you're trying to do slide jobs, that changing lanes in the corners. You're going to scrub more speed than what you did early on as you come across the slick. You got to take all those things into the calculation to what you do now moving forward here, because it is crunch time. It is absolutely 100% go time now.
Lights are out on the pace truck once again, and a few drivers of note. Patrick Spangler up 11 spots, 23rd to 12th. Kevin Fry also up 11 spots, 27th to 16th. He started dead last in the field, so a pretty decent run for him. Might be able to get a top 10 out of this. We will come to 13 laps to go when we take the green flag with Randy Shreves at the point. Kyle Moonen stuck in behind him, and Donovan Ross in the bronze position, third place at the moment. And again, Shreves running that high line around turn 3 and 4. And we'll take the green flag. A good jump from Shreves. Not such a good jump from Moonen that time, but he is able to get a few car length advantage over Donovan Ross. And behind him, Steven Goldner immediately going for a slider line. But he's got Blake Chapman trying to take that spot back. In contact between the two of them, battling for fourth. And that's going to be a caution and will possibly ruin Steven Goldner's race.
Yeah, big contact there. I believe that's going to end his night for sure. Unfortunate up front contact being made.
Yeah, and when I go back and look at the restart, Goldner was really aggressive, and he was nearly to the outside of Chapman before they even took the green flag, and then they took it. He got a huge jump. And they fired off relatively at the same time, but he was so close to being even next to him. He dove down to the inside, made the slide job work, and then Blake Chapman was just super aggressive to get him back. So just two drivers, fast drivers, racing really hard right there, John.
Yeah, and I picked Goldner, and he texted me earlier and said don't pick him because he didn't want the curse, and now he's wrecked. So I'm sure I'll hear about that later. But yeah, when you're down to it here and you get slid, you got to give that back, because you don't have the 4 or 5 laps to work them over, because when you're third and fourth, you got two other guys you've got to go after too. And it's going to take a lap or two, most likely, to get on each one of them. So you've got, the aggression has to get up. Those guys are really clean drivers. You can just easily chalk that one up to just hard racing.
And in other news, though, that does keep Blake Chapman in fourth place. He is up 7 spots from where he started, 11th to 4th. A good run for him so far. And but it's going to come down to restarts, JR, and you know how important those are from the pavement side. It's about anticipating and getting those good jumps.
Absolutely, and I was going to bring John in on this question. So, we saw Shreves on the last restart. He had his right rear just a little bit higher up in the moist stuff. Looked like he got a good jump. You think that's going to come into play exactly where you position yourself as you get on the throttle?
Absolutely. That's exactly where I'd be, and that's where I'd be on every lap, too.
A little bit of gamesmanship played on that restart. Kyle Moonen tried to get a jump and maybe fired a little earlier, and he had to give it back as Shreves goes ahead, and the advantage kind of remains the same. Not a huge advantage for Shreves. Moonen is, I'd say, slightly within striking distance, with Donovan Ross quite a bit of distance back now in third.
Absolutely. Chapman's trying to work him over at the moment. They're still running that high line, but Chapman still seems like he's favoring a little bit lower, and another caution is out on the speedway.
Yeah, that was Jack Clevenger battling for about 9th, 10th place. Ran in the bottom, and then it was just a coming together 3-wide battle between Gerlach and Evertson. They just, Evertson did not, kind of came down a little bit, did not want to give up, did not want to go all the way up towards the wall, and it just led to a loss of room there in the middle. I want to bring John back in about restarts again. Is there anything you can really do in these cars? You only have one gear, so it's not coming down to flying through the gears. It's more about choosing the correct lane and having your car pitched at the right angle, right?
Yeah, and couple that with anticipation. If you can just get right there and fire right with them, as we saw Kyle try to do. That's really all you can do. There's things you can do when you're side by side, if you're that outside, not the control car. I won't get into that. I don't want to give away my secrets, but there's things that you can do that can even that out and kind of take that advantage away a little bit. But yeah, single file, the only thing you can do is try to guess, and that's where the leader really has an advantage because he can fire from different spots.
We're going to have 11 laps to go when we take the green this time by. Moonen was closer this time. He was still not quite within striking distance, like I said before, but he was closer this time. So it's going to come down to this restart. Here we go. Randy Shreves again leading the field. A little bit of a cleaner start this time between the top two. We go down to turn one, and Moonen is a few car lengths back still. And looks like it's going to be a battle between those top two as Donovan Ross has to deal with Blake Chapman for third and another caution on the speedway.
Yeah, well, it looks like we had at least one car flipping upside down. Going to end someone's not for sure.
Yeah, Stephen Goldner again was involved in that, and he was clipped by G.J. Boydell, who was trying to dodge a flipping Terry Landis, who had gotten together with Robert Evertson. It looked like they were trying to be in the same lane, but Terry Landis just overdrove the entry, pushed it a little too hard, and ran into Evertson. And John, talk about that when you're really tailing another driver, how easy it is to drive a little bit harder into the entry without even really realizing it against the guy in front of you.
Yeah, sometimes your vision is blocked a little bit, so you kind of miss your mark or whatever. That's why I always try to use points like on the wall so I can be looking out rather than trying to look ahead sometimes. You want to know where those points are. It's just real easy to do. And the other thing is, too, the guy in front of you could do something different. Maybe he got through there and was thinking, you know, I'm driving this too deep. Next time through, I'm going to back my corner up a little bit and try to drive a little harder out. Well, we don't have brake lights on, and we don't, you know, you can't tell those things, and things can happen fast. But I'll tell you this, though, the last 10 laps here, I don't think I'd be watching any other one other than those front two, because I think that's going to come down to just those two. I haven't seen anybody really get up and challenge them, and those two are going to be I think the two that are going to come down to the wire here for.
What do you think, JR? We've noticed that Moonen has had slightly better restarts the last couple, and he's been a little bit closer. You think he just needs a few laps to set up a pass?
Absolutely, he's going to need a few laps just to get settled in, figure out where Shreve's going to ultimately run, and then he's got to do something a little bit different. And you know, they're starting to open the pay window right now, so this is going to be a go time, and I think you're going to start seeing guys up front get a little more aggressive.
I think you're correct on that one. So we will have 10 to go as Randy Shreves leads them down again. He will take the green flag. A good jump for Shreves, and he's got a better jump this time. He has got a few car length advantage, and Moonen actually playing a little bit of defense with Donovan Ross looking to the bottom, and Ross has built up a decent gap to Blake Chapman, who dives down to the bottom to challenge him for third.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the best thing Shreves could hope for there was Ross and Moonen getting to race side by side, but Moonen is carrying a ton of speed, running right up against the wall through the corner here. He has closed all the way in on Shreves. Oh, we got another caution, Kenny.
Yeah, another caution. It's Terry Landis yet again. Looks like behind him it was Jack Clevenger just overdrove the entry and spun Landis around. And Landis was spun directly into the path of Keith Jackson. And Landis goes for yet another tumble. So don't know if he used his fast repair on the last caution, but if he didn't, he definitely needs to this time around. But it was getting really juicy up there for the lead. Moonen did not have a greatest restart that time, but boy, did he close in a hurry.
Yeah, he's going to have some green flag laps here, I think, to get it done. Shreves is definitely good on the opening laps, first 2 or 3 laps. After that, Moonen has found something up top. He's got that right rear tire right up against the cushion, which is almost against the wall right now. So he's found that line, and he's got the speed, but he's going to have multiple laps to do it.
Now, John, we know that the closer to the top that you can run and have the most commitment possible, the faster you can be. For some of these drivers up near the front, do you think maybe they intentionally don't run all out just to kind of save that move as kind of their ace in the hole for the end?
They may. You know what? It looked like Moonen was going all out here because the time is running down, and if we go caution free, he's going to have a shot at this, but he has to get this move done now. He can't wait till a lap or two to the end, because if they get a caution, on lap 48 or something, where there's just a couple laps left. It takes, after the jump that the leader can get, it takes you a lap or two to catch back up and then have to start working them again. So right here, this is probably the most important restart Kyle's going to have for the night, to try to do something with Randy here. And he's going to have to try to do it, get around him as quickly as he can, if he can. Randy's incredibly fast, incredibly talented. He's not going to be easy to pass.
The thing I've noticed with Randy is that he's just so smooth and rarely makes a mistake. So here we go again. We're going to have 8 laps to go. Randy Shreves is on the gas. And a decent jump. Moonen got a decent jump that time. And Chapman dives down to the bottom to try to take third, maybe even try to take second in one corner. And he's clear. He's going to stay on the bottom. What a massive move that is from Blake Chapman. He must have gotten a massive start there.
Yeah, big move, and he's continuing to run that bottom, choosing not to do the slide move yet. So he's found some grip down there. We see Moonen just absolutely ripping the top, almost jumping the cushion through the corner.
Look at that. Chapman is on the berm basically and with his left sides, and he is challenging for the lead. He's not even trying a slide job, just staying right around the bottom. And now Shreves moves down to defend as we look at Kyle Moonen still ripping the top.
If these two get to racing side by side, this could open up a big opportunity for Moonen.
Blake Chapman is, he almost cleared. He got onto the berm a little too much, but he is going to clear. Off of turn 4, new leader, Blake Chapman in the 20 car. He is just put it onto the bottom out of nowhere. Was that a surprise, John?
Absolutely, and got the caution. I don't know if he's going to have to give that back.
I don't think he will, because the leaderboard, I think, refreshed to him in the lead, which meant he crossed the line as the leader. So I think he'll keep it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Wednesday night we saw this kid at Volusia get on the bottom and pass everybody. I did not see it coming, and my hat's off to him. He has got it hooked up down there, and wow, he's earned where he's at, and I'm very, very impressed. Definitely the passes of the race so far.
I just don't know where that came from, because we saw him run the bottom earlier, but I'm almost wondering if he just squeezed his car down even lower, kind of like the opposite of what we talked about with Moonen going higher and higher. Chapman went lower and lower and actually pushed the limit on the berm there at the bottom, and you can see at the bottom of the track there's just a little strip of grip down there where the track has not been used up, and Blake used all of it and was just able to rip around the bottom.
Yeah, and if you guys have driven street stocks and whatnot here enough to know that when you come up off the bottom and you run that bottom line, there is a lot of tack down the middle of down the front straightaway along the bottom, and you can really launch off these corners. Even when it's slicked up like this, you can launch, and that's where he got around Randy Shreves. He just had a monster launch out of the corner. They look pretty even going through the center of the corner, and he's just killing them corner exit. So
this will be Blake Chapman's first restart here as the leader. He's up 10 spots, 11th to 1st. Let's see what he'll do here with 4 laps to go as the leader. He's going to run around the top for now. We'll see if he runs his patented low line as we go into turn 1. He's keeping a decent pace here, not too slow. And pace truck is gone and green flag is out. A good jump for Blake Chapman. And Shreves already getting challenged by Moonen, who's going to slide down the bottom. And more drivers trying that bottom line here with just 4 to go.
Yeah, Shreves just got 8 up on that restart there. Was not in a preferred lane, and he's fallen back to 4th after that.
Moonen and Ross both up to the top, and it looks like Shreves has dived down to the bottom. A little bit of contact between Shreves and Ross, but look at Chapman just ripping around the bottom. And he has built up a huge advantage, about 3/4 of a second, as Moonen has smashed into the wall and will lose second to Randy Shreves.
Yeah, Chapman has pulled away big time, and that is not what he wanted to see. Another caution on the speedway.
Yeah, it looks like Connor Ross actually was involved in that. And it was, I mentioned that Moonen went up and hit the fence. Well, Ross also did. But Ross was not so lucky. He did not save his car, came down the track, and was hit by a couple drivers, like Kevin Fry was one of them, and another involved was Jack Clevenger involved in another accident. So Like you said, JR, that is not what Blake Chapman wanted to see, but he's got to be encouraged at least that he's 1 for 1 on restarts as the leader and was able to do a pretty good job with getting a good jump.
Yeah, he did a great job on the last restart. He's going to have to change it up a little bit because he's got Moonen behind him, who has been able to get some pretty good starts as of late. Not earlier on in the race, but lately he's been able to anticipate really well. So all it takes is just a little bit of a slip on this restart, and odds are Moonen's going to go to the very bottom, and that's going to take Chapman's line away.
Guys, can I interject here? We are going into overtime. Put fuel back on the board here because we got 2 chances at this. If they get another one, you're going to see some guys really close on fuel here now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Chapman will have new competition behind him. This time he'll have Kyle Moonen right behind him in second. So we're going to get the 1 to green here next time by. But we'll have to keep an eye out and see if everybody can make it on fuel. Randy Shreves will start in third this time. Donovan Ross in fourth. Patrick Spangler, look at him. Patrick Spangler is now up to, I believe it's 7th with Brandon Templeton in there as well. I think he's actually 6th.
Yeah, I think he's P6, but up 17 positions along with Taylor Wineland behind him up 14. Those are big moves in this race.
Here we go. Green-white checkered attempt. Number 1, there's a possibility of 2 attempts at this. Blake Chapman with Kyle Moonen in behind. Kyle Moonen looks low, looks to fire maybe early, but Chapman outfoxes him there, and he's going to dive to the bottom and keep running the bottom lane. Moonen in second place, also running the bottom. Down into turn 3, will we get the white flag?
That's what he's looking for and hoping that he gets back to the start-finish before something happens. I believe he is going to get there. 1 to go. He is running the bottom, holding a pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, the challenge is for second place as Shreves and Moonen have a little bit of contact. And behind Patrick Spangler looking to capitalize. But it's going to be Blake Chapman with the victory in the King of the Wing charity race for the C2C Racing League. Kyle Moonen ends up grabbing second, Randy Shreves third, and boy, we won't get to talk to Patrick Spangler quite for getting a podium finish, but 23rd to 4th. What a run for Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. A lot of patience, but a lot of speed, and he showed everybody how you need to move forward in a race like this.
John, talk about that low line. We'll have to ask Blake about how he was able to make that work, but he really opened up everybody's eyes there with about 10-15 to go.
Yeah, he did, and I'm still astonished. What a drive, and that's a tough, because you talked about it earlier about being able to see that berm. That can be just as treacherous as being up top and tapping that wall. You get over that berm, especially in these cars, it just kills you. You can lose 5-6 spots before you gather it back up, and just a fantastic drive. I'm really happy to see him grab this win.
And you can look. We'll run through the results real quick if we can. With Blake Chapman winning, Kyle Moonen in second, Randy Shreves in third, Patrick Spangler fourth, and running out the top 5 is Brandon Templeton. Donovan Ross 6th, Taylor Wineland in 7th, Jack Clevenger ends up rebounding for 8th, Jeffrey Kemper 9th, and running out the top 10 was Dan McLaren, JR.
Yeah, coming home in 11th place tonight is Kevin Fry. 12th goes to Nick Vickery. 13th, Brian Lawson. 14th, Terry Landis. 15th, Connor Ross. 16th goes to GJ Boydell. 17th, Keith Jackson. And 18th will go to Preston Kramer.
19th place goes to Isaac Salas. These drivers, a lot of them were victims of attrition. 20th is Stephen Goldner. Robert Evertson was 21st. Josh Gerlach, who won the event at Charlotte, 22nd. Brandon Schultz, 23rd. Brennan Lacey, 24th. Ross Carinta, 25th. 26th is Brian Dickens, and 27th is Joe Canellis. So we will bring in our victor tonight, Blake Chapman. Blake, congratulations on the victory, man. Up 10 spots in a very stacked field. Talk about how you were able to get through that field and make that pass for the lead late on.
Yeah, I really didn't expect to come and win this thing at all. If I could get a top 5, I'd be really happy, but I just, was patient and had to take opportunities when they were given to me, coming up through the field, go where guys weren't. And then when I was sitting there with about 10 to go, I was in 4th, and I was thinking to myself, if I can find something down there on the bottom, I might actually have a shot at winning this thing. And that bottom was really fast there at the end, and I'm glad I found it before the other guys did.
Yeah, that really surprised all of us, and I'm sure surprised your competition as well. What did it take to run that bottom? Because, I'm assuming that if you came up off that bottom even just by a half a car width, it wasn't going to be nearly as fast.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're right there. You really had to stick that left front right next to the berm and just hold it as close as you could all the way around, and that's where you're going to get a lot of your speed. Even you could lift off a ton, and you're going to save a lot of speed other than drifting up into the slick stuff. It's not easy to do, but I love running the bottom here, and I love this track so much.
Now, once you found that speed at the bottom, were you going to be religious to that from then to the end of the race, not really thinking about the top?
Oh yeah, especially in 1 and 2. I thought when I first went down to the bottom in 3 and 4, it was still a little faster up top, but I didn't want to take the chance of giving up my position on the bottom, and I was just going to stick it down there, and if somebody got around me on the top, then kudos to them.
Well, congratulations, Blake, on the victory. $100 richer, and we'll be getting a trophy from Replica Designs. Who do you have to thank for the victory tonight?
Oh, I got to thank all the guys down at Krite Sim Racing, and of course I got to thank some of our sponsors, especially Galen's Popcorn. If you use code CART, you get 15% off at checkout. That's code CART at checkout for 15% off. I got to thank my parents and my grandparents and Steve Bixler, everybody who might be watching, and I got to thank the league for putting this on, and all the drivers for signing up and donating to this great cause, and of course you guys for putting this on.
Thanks for talking with us, Blake. We will see you in the next one, and congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
That was our winner tonight, Blake Chapman, and JR is down in the pits. He has caught up with our second place driver, Kyle Moonen.
Absolutely. Kyle, congratulations on the second place finish tonight. I know it probably wasn't what you were ultimately looking for after starting on the pole, but walk us through your race and how the early battle with Randy Shreves went.
It was a good race. Just was trying to save fuel, at the beginning. Tried saving too much. I guess I should have, with 10,000 cautions, I should have never gave up the lead. But it is what it is. I guess you can't win all of them. So.
Yeah, we speculated early that that fuel may come into play if you guys had a long green flag run, and we figured some guys may play it safe early. Were you surprised any at all at how the line developed throughout the night?
No, not really. It pretty much did what I assumed it would. Just kind of hoping fuel was gonna come in a little bit more there than it did. But.
Absolutely. Hey, still, I know you're disappointed a little bit, but still a great run tonight. Coming home with a nice payday. Is there anybody you want to thank for tonight's run?
Just all the guys at Vandybilt, Ross Kren at Velocity Race Designs, Alex at ABR Setup Shop, Steve King Foundation for putting these, for doing what they do, and then the league for putting shows on, and you guys for the broadcast, and that's about it.
Awesome tonight. I know it wasn't first, but you still got a great finish, great payday. Congratulations on that finish, Kyle.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, that was Kyle Moonen, our second place finisher tonight. Now I believe John has caught up with our third place finisher, Randy Shreves.
Hey, Randy, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes.
Well, buddy, what a heck of a run you had. You passed a lot of guys, able to get around. The track was racy. Walk me through how exactly you got up there.
Yeah, well, at the beginning, I got around Kyle there a little early. I don't know if he was saving gas or what, but got around him, led a lot of the race, and then after that I was just kind of trying to save some fuel because I knew that was going to come into play. And then all of a sudden, Blake just comes out of nowhere on the bottom. So, I just wish I would have gone to the bottom a little sooner.
Well, when you talk about saving a little bit of fuel there, how much fuel exactly did you have at the end there?
I think I had like 1.9 left.
Ooh, so second green white checker might have been a little hairy there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I knew it was going to be close, but I knew that you fell back there a little bit, but then you're able to come right back there and make those passes. Nice, resilient effort to bring it home on the podium. You got a little payday out of it. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to thank everybody for donating to the Steve King Foundation. It's a great organization. I want to thank my team, LGR Motorsports, Alex Bergeron at ABR Setup Shop, Coulter West at Redline Race Design, One Wish Foundation, Wraps and Stitches, KSB Builders, Finish Line Repairs, CD Cinematography, and of course everybody at Coast to Coast for putting on awesome races all the time, and you guys for the broadcast, and everybody for watching.
Well, thank you, Randy. Great run tonight. Congratulations again. That is Randy Shreves, the third place finisher.
Yep. So, any final thoughts from you guys, John? That was a lot of competitive racing out there, a lot of hard racing, and a lot of stuff that these drivers had to deal with, both on the track and inside the race car.
Yeah, I absolutely think that the race went a little bit as expected. A lot of guys ran up top. We definitely saw some slide lines come into play and some passing that way. But I don't know about John, but I'm extremely surprised on how the bottom came in late and played a huge role in the win there.
Yeah, when I talk, I need to learn to push this button here. You think I've done this enough, I'd figure that out. But you know what? The racing, I know we had a lot of cautions at the end, but I think that's a product of a track that's changing constantly. What you did on lap 25, you can't necessarily do on lap 30. And it's that catches some guys out, and we saw Blake Chapman, just like what JR said. Blake just basically came out of nowhere on the bottom there, and I mean I hadn't even seen anybody at all down there previously until he magically appeared. We might need to go back and look at the video. Maybe he pulled out of the pits right at the end and was able to do. But I mean, it was an amazing run there from him. So, all in all, what a neat event, and I can't wait till we do the next one. I think the next one will be for our veterans. So, again, I'd like to stress to anybody watching, you can still donate. Just go to C2CRL.com. A pop-up will come up. Like I said, just give $5, $10, whatever the case might be. But I tell you, I got my wheel here, and watching those guys, that's definitely what it made me want to do, is get in the car tonight.
Yeah, it was a great event for an awesome cause with the Steve King Foundation. But we'd like to thank the Coast to Coast Racing League for putting this thing on, and to preview some of the future action going on. The C2CRL Hometown Heroes next broadcast will be February 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern for more dirt track action. But the next Virtual Grip Network broadcast will be Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stocks at Lernerville. Catch that one on February 11th at 7:10 Eastern. This has been a production of the Coast to Coast Racing Network and the Virtual Grip Network. I'm Kenny Kibbeweather, the co-host, J.R. Shepard and John Hine, with Mike Yao behind the scenes. Thanks for watching.